That's awesome. Alright, quick intro. Hey there everybody, my name is Chris, welcome back to Wizard Way. I am super stoked today because after a night of nightmares, I woke up to find that Lord of the Rings Rings of Power over on Twitter decided to drop 24 teaser posters. So I am currently live simul-streaming on YouTube, Twitch, and over on TikTok, where I am connected with Nubeta, the one, the only, the OG. Oh my gosh, like, you should be able to hear him, hopefully. But we are going to dissect some of these posters. This is what I do. Oh, thank you. I'm super excited. Alright, so let's take a look. I'm gonna switch my scene over. I have this prepped, I promise. Alrighty. Oh, Emily got a preview poster too? I'm so excited for you guys. I'm not sure, did you see mine? Did you see the dwarf poster? I literally just woke up, saw that there was something, saw a message from Dawn, and like, I haven't looked at anything yet. So. Fire. All of them fire. Oh man, I can't wait. Okay, so I'm on the wrong scene. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Okay, where am I? Who am I? My poster is, Emily's poster is fire, Don's is fire. Oh my gosh. All night long, all night. Okay. Why is this not working? This should be working. There we go. Okay. Alright, so... Yeah, man. I know Dawn is gonna go live later today, and I'm totally gonna be there. But this will at least give me a heads up on what I'm looking at first. So, okay. I'm over on the Twitter page now. Let's click into things, see what we can see. Now, which poster was yours? Is it the one with the Dwarven axe? Yes. Okay, that's the first one I'm looking at, so let's take a look. Alright. Oh yeah, we got some Dwarvish runes. Heck yeah! I'm so excited. Okay. This is why we have calligraphy pens right here. So I'm a... Oh yeah. In real time. Okay. I'm gonna have to like turn my head to the side. Yeah, yes. Okay, so background. Originally the Kirth, the Dwarvish runes that you see everywhere, especially with the dwarves, these were actually created by the elves of Doriath. So it's actually Elvish. Essentially, what we know as Dwarvish was co-opted by the dwarves. It was adapted to the Dwarvish language, but originally it was created by the elves. So, the Sindar elves in particular tended to use these runes more often than they used the Tengwar, because the Tengwar was created by Feanor. Feanor was not liked very much by the Sindar elves because of the kinslaying at Alcalonde. So, eventually all of the elves did adopt the Tengwar because it was a very elegant, written language, and they really like that. But for utilitarian purposes, whenever the elves needed to make signs, and this is why it's used on the doors of Moria, the Kirth were used instead. So, let me... Oh yeah, please do, please do. Yes. Tons of things in Elvish in the Kirth because it's kind of dead now with the dwarves, especially the dwarves in Cause of Doom, which I'll put me and Wizard Way Chris will explain how they got the Kirth. Yeah. They esteemed Elrond's writing of the Kirth better than the elves did. The elves were like, "Ooh, this is awesome, we'll use this," but the dwarves absolutely loved it, and they actually said, "Yo, you're a genius, like we want to use this, we want to adapt this." And Yeah, you will never see it.
At all. At all. So if they learn the language of the elves, before the elves learn them, because they won't share.
Yeah, the dwarves are super secretive, and so the names of the dwarves that we have, like Owen, Glowen, Turin, all of this stuff. All of these names are just the names that they chose to reveal to elves and men. Those aren't their real names, which I find fascinating. All right, trying to get these runes down. Oh my gosh, it's hard to see some of these.
It's cool. This person just wrote Tolkien just never wanted to make a whole other language. That's cool. Whatever way you think about it is fine. Regardless of that, this is with the part of the story that we get, so that's what we go with. So
Yeah.
the reasoning behind it is irrelevant. That's what was written in there. That's what we're going to go as. Whether he wanted to make another language or not, that's how he wrote that off. So that's what happened. So that's how we're explaining it.
Okay, so I'm gonna switch my view over so everybody at least can see what I'm looking at here. Hopefully. But at the bottom of the handle of this dwarf's axe, just a note, he's wearing 3 rings. We've got ginger hair. Love that armor. Good lord. The dwarven armor's so cool because it's so angular. The elves are all about something that's flowy or that has like a naturalistic look to it. Things that look like waves or they look like leaves. Very organic. Whereas the dwarves are super earthy and angular, and I love the contrast between the two.
The thing about the post-it to me is the dirt under his fingernails.
Right? The grime.
That intention is masterful because they are working, digging, forging people.
You know what's even better? Now that you brought my attention to that, he has gold dust. There's gold dust on his hands. It's not just dirt. I thought that was just reflection, but now that I'm looking at it, that's gold dust. Ooh.
I'm thinking that it's Doran the Third or Narvi, one or the other.
It would be cool to see Narvi. At least Narvi, we know, did a lot of interaction with the elves and with mortal men.
But if I'm thinking ring-wise,
Yeah, ring-wise.
Doran.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's all speculation, so
Right.
it could be either or. Who's to say he didn't give Narvi a ring?
Yeah. Yeah, we don't know. We don't with Celebrimbor, like there's only so much we know about Celebrimbor. And if he were to gift rings of power to dwarves, like he worked so closely with Narvi, like they were besties. Like I would expect that he would give one to Narvi. But would he be the only dwarf? Obviously not. I don't know. Because Narvi was a craftsman, but Narvi was not a king.
And we gotta keep this in mind. So he could have given more rings to one group of dwarves than anything.
That's true.
Dugalad got this ring.
Yeah.
Dugalad had 2 rings. He gave one to Círdan.
I often have to remind people of that. I'm like, guys, Gandalf did not get the ring initially, and even Círdan didn't get the ring initially. 2 rings went to Gil-galad. Okay, so let's switch up my angle again. Let's take a look at these runes. Okay. This is honestly the fun part. Now I get to break out my charts. So, the Cirth are not my specialty, but I do have really good charts. So, if you're over on my YouTube or Twitch channel, this is what you're going to be seeing right now.
And this is why we love you. This is why you all should be following her.
Aw, thank you. So, specifically the page that I've brought up over here is the Angarthas Eregion. So, the runes, like I mentioned before, they were created initially by the elves and then they were co-opted into different languages. Because they were really adaptable. There were more runes than you needed things to put to letters. So, because of that, the dwarves really latched onto it. So, initially, the Cirth were also called the Angerthas. The C from Cirth gets lenited into a G. This is just a language thing that the elves do. So in Sindarin, it becomes Angerthas, which is, of the Cirth. But Angerthas Dairon was the first sort of alphabet that Dairon put together. Dairon is the one who created the runes. He was the #1 minstrel ever in Tolkien's world, which is super cool. One of my favorite elves, honestly. Above Maglor, exactly. He was the second greatest. And third greatest would be Tinfangelion, but that's only mentioned in the Lays of Lathian. He's only really mentioned in the actual poems. He's not usually I think maybe in the Lost Road, but there's not too much mention of Tinfang. Fun fact, so I have 3 in my house. Sorry, I did buy things from Jeffrey Bezos. I'm sorry. But she's super convenient, and so I have named the 3 that I have throughout my house. I have named them after the 3 parts. So I have one named Tinfang, one that's one that's Dairon, and one that's Maglor. I can tell certain devices to do certain things, and it amuses the heck out of me. All right, let's zoom in here. We got runes. Okay, so first thing that I can do easily is pick out the vowels. Vowels are super easy to recognize. This is happening. Totally happening. Let's see. The one that looks almost like the female symbol is going to be a W. I remember that one. Okay, this is a C. It's been a while since I've worked with the runes, so forgive me. I'm not sure what that one is. Let's see. Might be an LH. I'm not sure on that one. But as I was saying about the various Angerthas, the Angerthas Ereigion was specifically used in the Second Age, and since we at least know that the series is taking place in the Second Age, I feel like that's our best bet for being able to translate what we're seeing in the posters. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's an LH or not. This should be an H or an S. Thank you. I really need to trim it. I'm going Draco Malfoy short pretty soon. That's definitely an L. The one that, fun fact, the letter that looks like a P is a P. It doesn't happen often, but in that case it did. The single line down is the letter I. That's an easy vowel to pick out. The one that looks kind of like a C is going to be an S or H. It depends. So we can put that here. See, where's my X? I know I have an X in here somewhere. Ooh, I don't. There's not an X in this chart. Let's look at an earlier chart, and then if necessary, we'll look at different one. Okay, so I'm looking at the original Angerthas Dairon right now, and even in this version, there's not an X. So, oh yes, there is. It's a double S. Okay, we'll go with that. This is telling though, because certain characters were not used during certain time periods. So the X didn't even make it over into the Angerthas Ereigion. So, and then having a double S that's then followed up by an S/H, I'm not sure on that. Though it could potentially be a split between words. The thing is, in what we're looking at in this poster, there aren't any dots to indicate the words. I would say Tolkien didn't always do that, but it was nice and handy when he did, because it's hard to pick out actual words in Dwarvish if you don't speak the language, and I don't. I might know some of the runes, but I do not speak the language. And really, neither did Tolkien. Tolkien only made, what, like 6 official words? I think there were only like 6 attested words in Dwarvish. So there's really not a lot. So everything that you hear in the movies, everything that you see in the series, is all going to be created by a linguist to reconstruct something that sounds what we expect Dwarvish to sound like, based on the letters that we were given. So, at least in the original series, David Salo was the linguist who was hired on. He's an American guy. And so this is where we get Neo blank language. So we get Neo Sindarin, we get Neo Quenya, we get Neo Khuzdul. So it's an approximation, is how we like to put it as linguistic people. It's an approximation of what we think the language would have sounded like if Tolkien had further developed it. All right, that's a T. Yeah, some of these I'm not seeing proper. That's an O. That's an Enye. And I'm not sure what the final character is. It gets cut off. It looks like it just has a straight line across, but that doesn't actually happen in the language, so let's see. I mean, it could be a long A, it could be an E. I think most likely it's an E, so I'll put an E there.
What's going on? How you doing?
Alright, so here's what I've got so far.
Alright, let's go.
We've got AWAC, so awak. Followed by what looks like an LH. I could be wrong on that. I actually want to double check that character, so I'm not sure on that one, but then we have either an S or an H. Probably... Yeah, no worries.
That would be a hard sell, the second H, unless they were specifically going back to a specific story. Possibly, someone said that they thought they saw Aaron Roof in one of the photos, which they who owned it, so possibly there. We could think of that. I was thinking there's a black sword, it's broken. It could be Aaron Roof, it could be Englehill. Englehill is and it is a broken black sword.
It would be.
When he killed himself, the sword broke beneath him, and it's also a black sword. But I can't see it making its way to the second age. I'm pretty sure it was buried with Turin. So
Yeah, it was buried with Turin, and then we got the flooding of Beleriand when the ocean just sort of swallowed it up. Now, it could have unearthed.
it's there because that doesn't go in the book. But Turin is buried.
Yeah,
The only
it's like the only part.
above water.
What was the name of it? It was Amon something. Amon...
I mean, something.
Shoot, I should know this.
Something about the kids. But remember, his daughter isn't buried. She jumped into.
Yeah, she jumped into the river.
She jumped
Tragic story, by the way. If nobody knows what we are talking about specifically the Children of Húrin, which is... They made it into a standalone book all on its own, because this was one of the stories that Tolkien really did flesh out a lot. Super tragic. Yeah, no one wins, everyone dies. It's not a feel-good story.
not feel good at all. Oh, so it's interesting. We were talking about that because in one of the books there's a black sword, and it's a broken black sword.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to figure out where that sword came from. The black sword that we do know of, there are two that are mentioned in the Silmarillion. One was wielded by originally. It was wielded Strongbow. It was in the possession of Thingol, but then after Bellic died, Turin sword changed its name. So its original name was Anglihil, and then its name after that was Gorthang.
Yeah, Gorthang, yeah.
And then the dagger, that's supposed to be the sword that kills Morgoth.
Yes, so we do know eventually the sword is supposed to come back. But there's...
Turin is buried in Valarian, which is underwater, but the part where Turin is buried is the only part of Valarian that's above water. So
Yeah.
Little place where Turin is buried that doesn't get flooded. And they could at least give him that.
Yeah, they could give it that, and they could take artistic license with that fact. That it's the only place that wasn't. Yeah. Let's see. I'm looking it up, and it said that the sword Gorthang was broken with Turin's death. There's Kabad Nairamarth. I'm not sure if that's where it is. That is where he died, though, so maybe that is it.
Yeah, like, I'm thinking that because I don't believe Babylon took the sword.
Mm-hmm.
Babylon and his people, Babylon of the heavy hand, married Turin, dead. And he didn't take the sword, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And then Aaron Ruth is the sword of Thingol, which is the mate of England or Gorthang. It's the mate of that sword. And both swords were made by Eol the Dark.
Eol the Dark Elf, yeah, and non-Elmoth.
And then Elrond. He was actually taught his smithing craft by the dwarves of the Blue Mountains, of Belagard and Nargothrond. So that craft comes from them. He got the ore from the meteorite that fell, made those two swords.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, Tice, I did not get my own poster. We'll hope for next time. I haven't reached 50K on TikTok yet. Honestly, I feel like that's a metric that people might be looking at, and I'm not there yet. Not there yet. We can hope, though. I would love to be involved.
Yeah. Man. So, and Eol's sword was taken by Vaylin, and that guns before gone.
Yes.
So, that's gone. But, yeah. Thingol has Aaron Ruth, which that did survive, if I'm not mistaken, and went to Numenor.
Which sword, sorry?
Aaron Ruth. That is Thingol's sword.
Yeah. That may have been taken. That may have escaped.
That's what they survived to Numenor. So,
Yeah.
Not sure. But I know there's 2 or 3 black swords. Not sure if Thingol's is even black like that, but Thingol's sword, Eol's sword, and then we have Gorthang.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Thingol's sword was black, just because of the amount pardon me, the amount of trade that happened between the elves of Doriath and the dwarves was all mediated by Eol. Like, he was perfectly situated on the trade route between the dwarves and the elves of Doriath. And yeah, I would say he took advantage of that, and later on, Caranthir, one of the sons of Feanor, also took great advantage of that, being situated and having a realm right along that trade route.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's where Narsil they have come into play. Because you gotta remember that.
Hey, Don!
Narsil was created by.
Thanks, Don.
Why is his name not coming to my head? He's my favorite dwarf. Jeez.
Telcor?
We know Narsil was created by Telcor.
I'm like, Telcar? I'm like, the only reason I know Telcar now is because it was the one question in your quiz that I missed.
Yeah. Telcor created all the greatest, besides the Silver Road, Telcor created all the greatest things in the first stage, besides the Silver Road. So
Today is exciting.
It doesn't say for sure, but the dwarves of Nargothrond made it. He was the greatest dwarven smith of
Yeah.
Nargothrond. So I'm sure he had a hand in making the Dapplemere. He made Anguish, the knife which cut the silver rope from Morgoth's crown.
Yeah.
He made Narsil. He made the dragon helm of
So many iconic pieces by him.
Are made by Tengwar, except for the symbol. So Tengwar created Narsil. They were trying to figure out at a point how did Narsil end up in the hand of the Numenoreans. It had to pass through Caranthir first because he ruled the lands next to Mount Dolmen, where the dwarves came from when they issued from the Blue Mountains. So everything passed through him. They said all the riches of the dwarves passed through his hands first. So I'm assuming either it was made for him or it went to him somehow and passed down from him to somebody and ended up in Numenor in the hands of the kings. So this could have happened in many ways. There's a lot of speculations on how that happened. I'll make a video as to different routes that it could have taken. But that's one of the really interesting things that happened. Or Telkar himself could have just made it for maybe one of the LotR elves that aren't one of the seven sons of men, or he could have made it for one of the elves in Dorian, for all we know. But we do know that's where Narsil comes from, and it ends up in the hands of I would assume that Elrond's brother Elros had Narsil first, and it got passed down. What do you think?
That would make sense. There's so much interesting stuff that just sort of surrounds the family of Elrond and Elros. Like, that family goes through an awful lot, and the story of the half-elves in general. But yeah, I would say it would make sense because Elrond is one of those few that actually survived from the First Age. I could see that happening. That and just Elrond was very friendly to all peoples, so I would say.
Now, my only issue with it being passed to Elrond is that it doesn't stay with the royal, the main royal line.
Right.
Because the Sildur and Elendil actually are from the royal line, but they're the sisters' kids.
Yeah, they're a slight offshoot.
Like offshoot, even though they're still from the same straight line, so it doesn't go straight down. Even to be honest, even Alpharazon is not supposed to be the king. Alpharazon kind of stole that. But if that's the case, I'd say Elrond wrote it maybe as one of the gifts to the faithful, but he gave them Palantir. Maybe he gave Elendil the sword then. That way, that explains why it isn't on the main line. And
Right.
it goes off to where Elendil, because you would think that the kings would want to keep something like that. But the kings did refute all the things from the Eldar after a certain point because they didn't believe, in the faithful. They didn't like the faithful. They didn't like the elves to come visit anymore. So
Right.
maybe that's why they just said, you know what, get this sword. It was given by them, or whatever the case may have been. So we don't know. This is all speculation, but it's a good source of topic, and it's great. Tengwar teacher. I gotta go check out Tengwar teacher, man. I gotta learn.
Yeah, good lord. Tengwar teacher, man. Like, he's better at this than I am. I have a good amount of experience. He has more experience. Jamie's awesome. So right now I'm looking on a reference website that I like to use. It's the History of Writing. It's actually a document that was put together by the people who lead the way in all this stuff, and I stumbled upon the PDF and I've kept it. It has all of the Angarthas from every single iteration of it. So I'm trying to look through and see, the things that I'm not quite sure on. Maybe there's another interpretation of that character in a different version. So Angarthas Moria would have been used in Moria, but it's beginning of the Second Age and moving past. So perhaps they're using that form. If we're looking at a dwarf that's from Moria, then the Angarthas Moria was probably used instead of Angarthas Eregion. In which case, I'm looking for the couple characters that weren't making too much sense to me.
Man, this is so exciting, man. To see this happening in real time. Like I said, I'm not proficient with the language, so to see someone who is much better with the languages than I am, and just having that knowledge and language come together and having about in conjunction with the pictures and posters being released.
Mm-hmm.
We can have everybody just converge on this all at once. We got Tengwar TG, we got What's Big Chris, Don Marshall, we got Emily, we got Andy, we got everybody in here. We're all putting our heads together. We're trying to figure out what these posters are all about, what these characters could be, what the languages are, what they say. We're going to get every little piece of everything we can think of from our minds, and we're going to get you guys the best answers that we can give you, and we can kind of put this thing together and see who's out there in the show, what they're doing, what regions they are capitalizing on, what characters, because we have a ton of characters. There's one golden character. I was like, is that Al Farazan? Al Farazan the Golden? Could it be? Could it be Al Farazan? It could be somebody else. We have various humans with certain rings on. So is it a human from Harad? Is it a human from Umbar? Is it, all these people? We have the Numenoreans settling on the coastal regions. Remember, we have the Black Numenoreans there. So then we have rings of power that could be there. We have different areas that we got to keep in mind. We still have the Dwarven rings and the Elven rings that we got to keep into account. So maybe Galadriel was in one of those photos. We're just seeing maybe her hand. We're seeing maybe we're going to see Captain Rimbor's hand or something. We don't really know exactly, but we're looking at the clothes. We're looking at the different colors. We're looking at everything. We're saying.
I just figured out this might be a transliteration instead of it being in Dwarvish, because the first few characters spell the word awake. AWAC/K-E. So we've got awake. And the last 5 characters spell out stone. S-T-O-N-E. Now, this is an N that has an Enye on top of it, so it would be like an NG kind of sound, but even so, that's too close to not be intentional. This double S, it's gotta be something different. It's gotta be something different. Okay, I have a feeling, and this is, again, I guess I haven't completely done this letter by letter, but I think it says something along the lines of awake the sleeping stone.
Okay.
Because if that double S is an NG instead, then that would make the long E vowel into a double E, and that would be S-L-E-E-P-I. And then a character that would normally be a double S, but... Yeah, okay, that's it. It is sleeping. Oh my gosh.
Wake the sleeping stone. So...
Awake, sleeping stone is what it says.
Awake stone is the same I read on Twitter. Okay. That is fire.
Okay, and they were using Angarthas Moria. So that's a clue. This is a dwarf out of Moria. But again, who is it? We don't know. Let's move on to the next poster. That's only one of 24. Okay. All right. What is this doing?
Because that's the project they worked on together. Him and Kellen Rimborg.
Right.
And with the mithril in the moonlight, in the doorway, and then the door moves and everything, it could be awakened sleeping stone in that way.
Mm-hmm. So I'm moving up to the next poster. Let me switch my view back so you guys can see what I'm looking at. This one. Okay. My people who are on my Twitch or my YouTube. I swear I am trying to keep up with chat, but there's so much going on.
I want to kind of go on your Twitch and YouTube too, but I'm having so much fun right now thinking about this.
Oh, no, and I like having another voice, so it's not just me sitting here in silence, freaking out. Okay, so next poster we have, darker skinned person, hands appear male. I could always be wrong on this, but, you know. I do have a background in physiology and kinesiology, so being a massage therapist, I've looked at a lot of people's hands. This person's hands look masculine. Darker skinned, hell yes, fucking diversity. Waiting for that. Looking at the jewelry, this could be a mortal man. It could possibly be someone who lives in Ostenethio, which is the main dwelling in Eregion. So, yeah, again, with the gold dust on the hands, this could potentially be Celebrimbor. I'm not sure. I have no way of knowing. But this person either is not wearing a ring of power, or is hiding one on the hand that's covered. Because his fingers are covering his ring finger. Ooh, okay. I love the random use of the Triforce. I know it's all just triangles, but, like, there's a Triforce in there, and I'm like, yay! I know, I'm such a geek. Love the gold bangles. We do have different stones on those. And what is going on? I can't tell if those... It looks like there are stones woven into the fabric of the tunic that we're looking at. Because those...
To my knowledge, all of the rings of power are beset with jewels except for the one.
Right.
That's what it says.
That makes sense.
I have some kind of jewel in them, except for the one. The one is unadorned.
Mm-hmm.
It just has the ring.
Right. Deceptively simple, yeah.
We know Sapphire and Adamant, and we know, other than that, the different jewels in them, I wouldn't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I imagine the 16 maybe all look similar to a sword, maybe?
Oh, okay, next poster.
Next poster, what are we doing?
Next poster is a person clad in gold. Just the lines of the costuming alone tell me this is an elf, and so there are ornaments on the sides of this person's tunic or whatever it is. Those ornaments are in the shape of the Star of Feanor. So this is probably Celebrimbor.
So Celebrimbor is Feanor's grandson.
Mm-hmm.
He would use that. And the hammer and anvil that's above the door of Moria is literally a symbol of the House of Feanor.
Right.
So,
He did use it. He did use it as a moniker, even though he tried to distance himself from his grandfather.
He left, I can, when I'm thinking of the names and like when we're alive, sometimes it escapes me. Nargoth.
Yeah, Nargothrond.
He distances himself from Celeborn and Corvin.
Yeah.
He distances himself from his father.
Which, good for him, because Celegorm and Curfin were wannabe rapists with Luthien, and they can and did die. Good for them.
They are the worst of the brothers. They are the worst of the seven.
Honestly, they were. And that tells you a lot about Feanor, because Curfin was very much like... He was Feanor Jr. He was named after Feanor.
They inherited his skill in hitting the most.
Yeah, he got his skill in the forge, he got his haughty temper, and he got everything from his dad. And I'm sure that made Feanor very proud, but at the same time, all of us fans are like, not another one. We don't need another Feanor. But he was just as much of a jerk as his father was, and his kid is Celebrimbor. So, Celebrimbor came from quite a line.
He said, man, I don't want nothing to do with this dude.
None of that.
For
Mm-hmm.
they sell and break. And
Yeah.
me and Chris were talking about this the other day. If not for Feanor's deeds in Celebrimbor actually would be the king of the elves instead of Gilgalad.
Yes.
Had
Yes.
not- the line had not been changed over. Celebrimbor would be the king.
Yeah, so basically at the really the beginning of the first stage, Maedhros was invited to treat with the forces of Morgoth, and everyone was like, dude, it's a trap. It's a trap, man, are you blind? Yeah, I would say they were like, okay, this is definitely a trap, so we're gonna bring more forces and hopefully make this a trap on them. So both sides went in going, we know it's a trap, and it turns out that Morgoth had the upper hand, more forces in weight. Maedhros gets captured, and he gets chained to the side of Thangorudrim, which is one of the tallest peaks of Angband. So, after this happens, Fingon, which is the eldest son of Fingolfin, aka Maedhros' cousin, or half-cousin technically. But Maedhros' cousin is the only one who goes out and actually looks for the guy. And everyone's like, you're never gonna find him. Like, he's probably dead, you're never gonna find him. Fingon finds him, chained up against the mountainside, and ends up having to cut off Maedhros' right hand in order to save him. So when Fingon does this heroic thing, this is why he is known as Fingon the Valiant, he brings Maedhros back. Maedhros is nursed back to health, and to thank Fingon for what he did, he basically abdicates the throne of, the High King of the Noldor. In that interim, Maglor was actually the shortest-lived king of the Noldor. Poor Maglor. Our poor little bard is like, oh god, and now I'm king. They thought he died, so Maglor for a short period of time was the king. Yeah, but...
It also be argued that Maedhros and Fëanor never actually were kings of the Noldor because...
That's fair.
He actually stole that title because it was taken from him. He was exiled.
Yeah.
So Fingolfin was the king at the time when Fëanor's father Finwë got killed.
Yes.
So...
yeah, that could definitely be an argument that's made. I am getting a question on my chat here about the rings. Can we tell anything from the rings? The ring on the pinky looks like a bird. You're right, it does look kind of birdish, doesn't it? This is something that just the lighting and the angle makes it really hard to see.
Bird, I'm trying to think. The only peoples I know that are associated with birds are literally Melian and Lúthien.
And Elwing. Elwing transforms into a bird.
Yeah, but she's from the same line.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but I can't see. That line doesn't really have anything
Hi, Glam Shatterskull.
forward with anything.
Yeah, I would say the,
It doesn't. Besides the Numenorean, blood doesn't really.
This is an interesting combination of shapes, though, because you look over and, like, the ring that's on his pointer finger, the pointer finger of his right hand, it looks like a gigantic yellow pearl. And the pearls were specifically, very specific to the Falathrim. So, and, for people who don't know, the weird Elvish I'm spewing out, the Falathrim are the elves of the Falas. They are the sea elves. Círdan is their lord. So, that's a tough call. Let's keep going, though. We have a lot of posters to get through, and I'm completely stalling over all the details. Let's go on to the next one. Nothing else is really jumping out at me as far as what I would be able to interpret at this time. That may change. Next poster. Ooh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay, so this one has a person with grayish robes, a belt that is obviously holding a sword of some sort. I'm not sure if this is the pommel of a sword. It looks like it very well could be. but the design on the pommel is freaking gorgeous. Okay, so it's like a cityscape on top of the hilt of the sword. Which one would that be? Monday Night is saying it's Arenruth in their mind. And which one was Arenruth again?
That was Thingle's sword.
Thank you. My brain is so full of stuff that it's just turning to mush.
So much stuff that you gotta think about, consider.
Right. I think, okay, so when it comes to the Sword of Thingol, the possibility that it could have survived is there. The dwarves raided Doriath. After the dwarven messengers were slain by Thingol, and Thingol was like, I'm better than you all, because elves are better than dwarves. Period. The dwarves didn't take kindly to that, and they attacked and killed Thingol. When this happened, there was a bit of a mini war. The dwarves plundered Doriath, and they ran off with a ton of treasure. Now, of course, the elves pursued them, and on the fords of Aros, which is one of the 7 rivers that goes down into Osiriand, they had a battle, and most of the treasure was lost in the river. This river, when the world is reshaped, this river basically becomes the coastline of Lindon. So the possibility that Thingol's sword could have survived and would have ended up in the hands of Círdan, it's a possibility. So could this be Círdan? Círdan we do typically see dressed in gray. So I would not be surprised if this might be Círdan. The other thing about the sword is the design that's sort of around the circular part of the handle. It looks like waves. So my guess on this one would be Círdan.
It could be Círdan. Also, I heard that Elrond ended up in Numenorean. The Numenoreans were at that time the greatest mariners.
And that would also be fair. It could be a sign of Numenor, and in which case the city that's on the head of the pommel there could be Minas Ithil. It could be the city that then fell and became Minas Morgul. And it does kind of have that look to it, based on what, the perverted version of Minas Ithil that we see in the Lord of the Rings films. It's not as spiky, but that could have been augmented from the original design, and probably was, because the Dark Forces have a completely different aesthetic.
Clear, very clear.
Interesting. Yeah, there are bits on there that look like lotuses. There are so many different elements to that, yeah, it could very well be Numenorean. So that could be, one of the swords of the kings. We do have an awful lot of Elvish rings that get handed out to all the various peoples. Yes, I do say Elvish rings because they were all created by the elves. Yeah.
And in the beginning they're good. In the end, they're obvious.
Ooh. I see some Elvish, and that makes me very excited. Okay, so next poster we have someone in crimson and gold-trimmed robes. And they're holding a scroll in a gold cover, which, bravo, it looks fantastic. The design on the scroll cover itself is very reminiscent of the designs that we see in Rivendell, in Imladris. I don't see a ring, but you have to remember that when the Rings of Power were originally given out, the ring that eventually went to Elrond was originally given to Gil-galad. He was given 2 rings. He only gave one to Elrond later on down the line when they were going to war. So this could be a young Elrond. or at least younger Elrond. Age is completely subjective. And I do want to grab this image really quickly and flip it upside down because there's Elvish there that I can't read upside down. So let me grab this really quickly. And actually, we'll save it. Can we save it? Yeah.
She's gonna make out the script. Don't worry about it.
I'm gonna make out the script, you guys. Don't worry. People are like, it feels like Elrond. I'm like, it does. It has that feel. And Elrond was also seen in the crimson robes in Imladris.
I'm gonna be back, Chris. I'm gonna go do a couple things and I'll be back.
No worries. Just do a request and hopefully I'll see it. Bye, Nevada.
See you later, guys.
Okay. Sorry guys, I'm a bit slow because I'm just so excited. Okay. Go over here. There it is. Oh gosh, is this gonna open up Photoshop? I hope this doesn't open up Photoshop. No! Okay, if my stream goes bonkers, it's because my computer just opened up the picture with Photoshop. Which puts a huge drag on my CPU. But we'll work with what we've got. We'll work with it. It's fine. This is fine. At least I can rotate it really easily. Okay, select all, Control T. Rotate 180 degrees. Boo, yeah. Okay, let's zoom in. Okay, I'm gonna try and switch this up so that you guys can see what I'm looking at on my computer. So let me mess with my OBS really quickly. Properties. Yes? Maybe? Question mark? It's not showing up. Dang. Okay. No. That's so weird. It's showing the program but not the image. Okay. I'm gonna try and fix it. Promise. King scroll something from the south. Okay. I'll check it out. I'll check it out. I'm just trying to, trying to let the stream actually see what I'm looking at. And again, everyone who's joining me over on TikTok, please feel free to click the link in my bio. It'll take you to my YouTube channel. That way you guys will be able to see what I'm actually looking at and not just my face talking at you. Okay. Why are you doing that? Gosh. So I have my, setup here, but I'm still trying to fine tune it. My mic keeps trying to fall backward from me. Hey, the Great Claw, welcome. Tengwar Teacher is amazing. Tengwar Teacher was also awake before me. Let's be real. I had nightmares all last night. I had a nightmare that I was in a car wreck, and then literally right after that I had a nightmare I was in a plane crash. And it was one of those really vivid dreams that I woke up gasping from, so not a fun time. Tried to get back to sleep, struggled for a few hours, and then finally got up. So when I finally got up is when I saw all of these things had happened. Okay. So much Elvish hype. Oh my gosh. Okay, gosh, can we please? Can we please? It just does not want to show up, does it? We'll try. Properties. Why will it not show what I'm looking at? That is so infuriating. Okay, you know what? Know what we're gonna do? I'm going to We're just gonna isolate this, delete. Transform. We're gonna put this up top. And we're going to alter the canvas size. Let's see, where are we currently at? Let's bring that down to 500. And oop. Oh dear, I messed it up. This is what happens. Okay, fine. Photoshop not working for me. It seems to be, yeah. The runes on the dwarves' axe were also a transliteration. A transliteration is when we take English words and we just write them in a different alphabet. So no translating has actually happened. But transliterating means writing it in a different written language. This is what, if you're familiar with Japanese, this is what katakana does for the Japanese. Katakana is specifically used for non-Japanese words. So it is a way of transliterating any other language into Japanese. Which is actually pretty cool. My computer is struggle bussing. Close window. Just close the window. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What a nightmare. Cancel. Why you gotta be like this? Why? So frustrating. Okay. One sec. Okay. I at least got it back up to the browser. Sorry, guys. Is it just not gonna let me? It's not gonna let me. Oh my gosh. I don't know what's up with my computer, but it won't let me even shut Photoshop down. I think Photoshop has crashed. Are we still live? It looks like we are. Okay, we're still live, so I don't even know. But I'm trying to bring up the picture. Okay, let's open it with something else, shall we? We'll open it with photos. I should be able to just zoom in, right? Okay, good enough. Good enough. Rotate. Alright, let's write this out. Let's write it out, my friends. Let me switch over to another scene here. Okay, we're making it work. We are making it work. So yes, Awake Sleeping Stone is what we saw on the Dwarves' Axe. That was written in Angerthas Moria. And let me write down what I'm seeing here on this scroll. If I can. A couple of them are a bit unclear, but we've got an eye. I think that's an S. It looks like an S. That's interesting. They don't tend to use the hyphen very much. That looks like a long vowel carrier. Why would they do that? Okay, this appears to be written in Mode of Beleriand. It's F-R... O-M. So that's from. Got that one easily. We've got S. That's a diphthong that I'm... Diphthongs are like my nemesis. I think it's... That's A-W. That's ow. So that's south. You guys get to watch me doing this in real time. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. That's an NG. So INGS. So probably rings. It's probably meant to say rings, but I don't see the extended loop of Roman. Roman being one of the R characters. There are two characters used for the letter R. And we do see the character over in from. Oh, and you guys can't see what I'm doing. Sorry, guys. But we do see the letter R here. So we don't know what comes before the INGS. The way that this is written, though, instead of... Because typically there's already an NG character. Excuse me. It just depends on whether or not you want the NG to have a hard glottal stop or not. Do you want to say rings, or do you want to say rings with a G? The way that they've spelled it, it's with the hard G. I'm not sure why they did that. But I do have Mode of Beleriand here, so just so you guys can see. I did make these charts myself. I made those in live streams a while back. But this gives us the basics here. So this character here is typically used for NG. What they used was G with an N bar on top of it, which you can do. You can do. Basically, you put a tilde, which is that swoopy character. Let me do it in actual calligraphy. It'll look nicer. Let's go with this one. Hopefully my pens have ink. Come on, work with me. There we go. So that's the character for G. And we can put a tilde on top to put an N before that character. So that's one way of writing NG, but there is an actual character that the character by itself means NG. And this is in Mode of Beleriand. It depends on if you're going with this character being attested or not. But it's a maybe. It's a maybe. But this is the safe way of writing it. So INGS. If you ask me, and this is just my honest opinion, if they wanted to do something just a little bit more creative, they could have done the G character, the tilde on top for the N, and then they could have either used a swoop here to do that final S, or they could have done the final S from here. So they had an opportunity to flourish a little bit, but they didn't. minute. Let me make sure that I have this character right. Because this is actually a character they don't use in Mode of Beleriand. This one right here. That's not a character that they use in Mode of Beleriand. So I might be reading it wrong? Normally that would be a K, but in Mode of Beleriand we don't use, what's it called? The Quisitema. Yeah. So the Quisitema are, it's an entire line. It's an entire line of the Tengwar. So this line here, where I have all these X's, that's the Quisitema. We don't use the Quisitema in the Mode of Beleriand. So the fact that this character is here kind of throws me off a little bit. But it would normally be a K, so that would be SK. W? Question mark? Why? And again, this is not normal for the Mode of Beleriand. Why? I'm so confused by this. I'm just double checking to make sure I have this written correctly. It looks like that. I have it all zoomed in and everything. I'm like, it looks like this. Why would there be a W there? Okay. I don't know. And this looks like an OE. I'm terrible with diphthongs. Oh my gosh, diphthongs are my nemesis. That's the... I'm not sure if that would be considered a Y. Not in Mode of Beleriand it wouldn't, because Y is an upside down S. It's Silme Naquerna. Sorry guys, I'm completely geeking out here. Completely geeking out. They should have hired me? That's kind of you to say. Is there a broken sword besides Narsil? Oh my gosh. Glaurung? I believe it's Glaurung. No, Glaurung is the dragon. Oh my gosh. My brain is fried. This is why I shouldn't do this when I'm tired. I'm confused by the way that they've used some of this, because this is just a long vowel carrier. I'm like, where's Jamie when I need him? He knows the ins and outs of Tengwar even better than I do. But that's definitely a W. It's definitely a W. I'm looking at a chart for second Age Quenya right now. Just to double check stuff. You never know. And then that's EU. I mean, that could be a way of writing view. View from south? Question mark? Because the alternative for this character doesn't make sense. Goth armor is Sauron or random dark Numenorean. It could be. I haven't looked at everything yet, so bear with me, guys. I'm still just going through as I see it. This doesn't make sense to me. This does not make sense to me. What were they going for here? I think this is supposed to be view from south. You were saying that it was supposed to be scroll? That this is supposed to say scroll? I mean, it could, but there's no L. There's no L at all. Scroll would be spelt... I'm trying to make sure I have it in frame. If we're talking Mode of Beleriand, this character wouldn't exist, number one, but it would be like that. But in Mode of Beleriand, double L's were written out. Like, a double L would just be two lambes. It would look like that. In Mode of Beleriand, if we were using Mode of Beleriand in order to do a transliteration, which is kind of weird, honestly, then scroll would look like this. And that it doesn't look anything like that. This is what we're working with. So I think that's a bit of a stretch. Yeah, you know, King Squall. The Squall. Marriage is what brings us together today. Reading from the King Squall. View from South. King Squall. It could be. That's a really weird phonemic way of doing it, though. Read this Squall. Why? Why, God? We have come together today to read the Queen's Scroll. I totally said queen instead of kings. You know, whatever. Just throw a W in there. Squall. That probably is what they were doing. They were going for a more phonemic. Which does make sense when you look at the way the word south is, you know, S-A-U or W-T-H. South. And it does make sense to have the long vowel carrier for a long E sound. So, yeah. Because then that's V-I, like a long I, E, and this character is actually U. So yeah, if we're going phonemic, it's a stretch, but yes, it probably is meant to say King's Scroll View from South. What does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? Ah! Yeah. Cue Miley Cyrus, like that's basically where I'm at. I am deciphering the Elvish in the new teaser posters that just dropped for The Lord of the Rings of Power. Please head to the link in my bio. I have everything on screen that I'm doing. I have an overhead cam to show the writing that I'm doing, and I do have some windows open that you guys can see too. Yeah, please come on over. I'm barely scratching the surface. I think I've only done, what, like 4 or 5 of these posters so far? There's a lot to go through, okay? But Squall is definitely the highlight so far. King Squall. King Squall View from South. So I think we can generally agree that this is phonemic. Because that's what it sounds like. Like, phonetically, it's close, but someone's got a weird accent. Marriage. Never gonna get over it. So it's a drawing of something being viewed from the south. Yeah, view from south. Yes. And just taking a look, there are some really light characters on the other edge of the paper that I really want to take a look at. Because I'm seeing like an E-E-R? And then maybe another G, a long I-O-N? I have... Oh, Eregion! It says Eregion in the corner. It says Eregion in the corner. That's what it says. Okay. Let me bring it up so you guys can see what the heck I'm talking about. Okay. Okay. I swear. I swear, I promise. It's all gonna make sense. Oh my gosh. Oh, now it doesn't want to show. Aw, come on. No. So annoying. Okay. I'm gonna see if I can just add in a new display capture. This will be Chrome. Sorry, guys. Oh, that is not what I wanted to do. My bad. Yes. Inception! Sorry, everybody. It's window capture that I want, not display capture. Window capture. I do this all the time. It's fine. Why are you not showing the things that I have on my computer? This makes no sense. Oh my gosh. Fine. OBS does not want to work with me. This is infuriating. Oh man. Okay, well, I need it to work somehow. Come on. This should be working. I don't understand. There we go. Triumph. Okay. Let's get it. Okay, so what I'm looking at on my other screen where I have it zoomed in is... Yoink. Okay, so I'm looking at this corner right here. Because when you flip this 180 degrees, when you go whoop, you can actually see Eregion. It's really faint, but it's there. Let me switch again and I'll show you guys. I'll show you guys what it looks like. Okay. Let's do it. Here we go. So you guys can see. So I'm just gonna write it out now. If you're checking me out over here on TikTok, please head to my YouTube or Twitch channel. Link is in my bio. You'll be able to see what I'm writing. So this is what I see. That's what I see. And you know what's great? I happen to be wearing my Team Eregion shirt right now. And you can see, that is precisely what it says. That is what it says. Eregion. Now, they used a long vowel carrier for the I. I'm not sure why they did that, but it's basically the same thing. I used a short vowel carrier instead of a long vowel carrier because it's not a long vowel, but, you know, whatever. So, Team Eregion. This is what I see. So that's literally what I see. That is what I see when I look at this. All right, so back at it. But yes, in that back corner, that is what I see. There are a couple letters on top of Eregion, so... But they're really, really faint. They're hard to make out. I do see another R. And just they're too faint to make out. I think I see an M and an R, but I'm not sure. They're obviously not meant to be the focus in this picture. But okay, let's look at the next. Ooh, okay. I like it. Look at the green man going on here. That's fantastic. Okay. So the one that I'm currently looking at is one with a person dressed in gray. Their doublet looks to be made of wood. It has a leaf design that also has a face, a humanoid face. Bearded, but also quasi made of leaves. They're wearing a gray cloak. Trying to... They've got a brooch on the cloak, and I can only see a tiny corner of it. Fantastic craftsmanship, though. But they have a ring on their thumb, and they are holding an arrow for a bow and arrow. I have no idea who this could be, honestly. It's too vague. But what are we doing with the green man in there? Yeah, my first thought is one of the Dunedain. But the Dunedain don't really come into play until much later. Because the Dunedain are like an offshoot of the Numenoreans. They're the ones that, if I remember correctly, they're the ones that stay in Eregion when everyone else is going off to Numenor. They're like, yeah, we kind of don't want to be part of your, like, superior race rhetoric. We'd rather stay here. But who would the face in the leaves be? Like, do they worship Orome? Orome is god of the forest / god of the hunt. So it would make sense if that was Orome that we're seeing carved into this wooden breastplate. Super cool. He does also have up in the corner here, he has some chainmail. So it's not just wooden armor, which is good because wood doesn't do you all that good. Wood is not that helpful in battle. Unless that shit's enchanted, which it very well could be. We don't have a lot of references of Orome coming back into Middle-earth, though, so that's an interesting choice. But anyone who's a great hunter would probably pay homage to Orome, for sure. That's really cool. I wouldn't have expected them to put that particular detail in. Some of the green elves that didn't like other people. It could be some of the Nandor. I would love to see people with a darker complexion portrayed as elves, for sure. And to be fair, the way that the fletching is done on these arrows is almost identical to Legolas's. So this could also be maybe a Sylvan elf, because we do have the gray cloaks that we see a lot in LotR. The belt buckle also looks elvish. So it could be a mortal man, but it could also be an elf. Having a depiction of one of the Valar would make sense for the Sylvan elves. It really would make sense for the Sylvan elves. Remember in the Hobbit concept art, they mentioned that Beorn's house had a lot of green man designs. Oh, so this could be the House of Beorn. Interesting inclusion. Probably, no, Bombadil doesn't wear armor. Bombadil gives 0 fucks. Bombadil doesn't care. Bombadil doesn't need armor. Bombadil would, like, walk into battle whistling. Bro has no fear. 0 fear. That would be hilarious, though. No, definitely not Tom Bombadil. Tom Bombadil would be wearing bright colors and he would just stroll onto the battlefield like it was nothing. And he'd be, like, dancing around, like, dodging attacks, but, like, grooving. He would just chill. He'd be chillaxing. He'd be like, why must there be so much unpleasantness on this battlefield? Why did I make him sort of like a dude? Bada bing, bada boom. I don't think he would have that accent. Alright, next. Ooh, okay. So we have someone with a scythe. A hand scythe. So someone who works the fields. Let's take a look at those metal belt buckles. We've got, like, a metal, ornate metal bits on the belt here. It's an alternating pattern. I see that at least. So there are 2 designs that we're looking at. One of them has the same sort of clover design that we saw on the ring that presumably Celebrimbor is wearing in his poster. That's the gold-themed one where it's dressed in all gold and there's, like, the Star of Feanor in a couple spots down his robe. I really think that would be Celebrimbor. So with that in mind, we do have a similarity here to one of the rings that he's wearing. So this could be, you know, just an elf. It could be just a mortal man as well. Obviously from the design of the clothing, it doesn't give away what race this is, but the stitching here is much more rough, so we're not talking someone of high birth, which is fine. I say these things with 0 judgment. Place your chip on Numenorean. Numenor doesn't have an awful lot of farmland, but they would have to do something. The Numenoreans are mariners, so very much fish-eating folk. I would expect someone to have a spear or trident on Numenor before they would have a scythe. Now, Eregion has tons of farmland. Very verdant at the beginning of the Second Age, before shit goes down with Sauron. My general guess, this might be, you know, one of the men from Holland. I don't know what the race is, but it does ring of Eregion to me, but I could be absolutely wrong. Again, this person does not have a ring, or if they do, it's not on the hand that's being shown in the picture. Oh, Numenorean for the last picture. Oh, okay. Fair. Yeah, this one, I'm not sure. I would like to think that it's either Beorn, House of Beorn, or perhaps one of the Sylvan or Nandor elves. The arrows look really, really similar to the shape of Legolas, all the fletching. Same color, too. I could be wrong. I could absolutely be wrong. It would be so cool. It would be so cool, though. It would be so cool to see Orfar, Thranduil, and like the elves of Greenwood, of Erengalen. I would love to see the elves of Erengalen in here. Okay, and here's the image that I think Dawn had. Everyone was saying that Dawn had this one. What a cool image. Oh my gosh. Now, okay, so we were talking about the black sword that Turin had, right? We were talking about Turin's sword. Let me bring up my browser really quickly, if I can. So, Turin. Gorthang. Gorthang was the name of his sword. Thank you, brain. Okay. So Gorthang was of Elvish design because it was created by Eol the Dark. He was, the dark elf. Now, we don't mean that necessarily that he was an actual dark-skinned elf. When we say dark elf, we mean someone who forsook the path to Valinor. This is someone who is technically of Noldorin birth, but decided to not go over into Valinor, because he didn't really like the Noldor. Tolkien makes it kind of clear he was a Noldo, but he did not like the Noldor. And he just didn't like other people in general. So he really went off on his own, and he had his own tiny little place in Non-Elmoth. He's the father of Maeglin, the one who betrayed the location of Gondolin in the First Age. He tried to kill his son. Not a good elf. He's not a good guy. But he created a few of the dark-bladed swords that we see in Middle-earth. And those swords change hands a few different times. But Glaurung is the sword that Turinbar ends up having, so that's later on in the First Age. The sword is broken when he... Okay, so he fights a dragon. Defeats the dragon. Yay, good job. Is mortally wounded. But when he finds out that he basically fell in love with his sister, it becomes weird and incestuous. When he falls in love with his sister and he realizes, oh my god, that's my sister, Nienna. She tosses herself over a cliff into a river. Bye-bye, Nienna. And he throws himself upon his sword and dies. And the sword talks to him, like, it gets very strange and dark. But that's basically what happens. And so the sword was buried with him. They raised a mound, and like I was saying with New Beta Do Beta, I believe... Thank you, I keep messing up the two names. You're right, Gorthang is the sword, Glaurung is the dragon, yes. They're similar enough that my brain doesn't want to make the distinction right now. But yes, thank you, Glaurung is the dragon, Gorthang is the sword. And I should know this because Thang is sword. Thang means sword in Elvish. I speak the language. Why am I having difficulty? But it's the dark sword. It's the dark sword. Now this design could very well have been Gorthang. It looks dark, and the sword is broken. Wouldn't it be interesting if somehow Gorthang not only survived the sinking of Beleriand, but ends up in the hands of one of the guys who ends up being one of the kings that falls to being, like, either the Witch King or one of the Nazgûl. Wouldn't that be interesting? I think that would be fascinating. That would add another level of depth to, mortal men doomed to die. Like, nobody's doomed to die more than the owner of that sword. The owner of that sword is doomed. This is why Turin got a nickname that meant, the ill-fated. Things didn't go well for anybody who carried that sword. Beleg Cuthalion was killed by that sword, and that was Turin's best friend. Because he lashed out in the middle of a thunderstorm thinking there were enemies around him, and it was actually his best friend, and he killed his best friend. Meanwhile, Gwyndor is like, poor Gwyndor. Gwyndor's one of my favorite minor character elves in the entirety of Tolkien's world. Poor guy. He suffers a lot. It's kind of a sob story, but I love him. But yeah, I think that would be great. I think... Oh, Death Iron? That makes sense. Thang or Theng. Thang is the singular form of sword, and Theng is swords, plural. So there's also, it's kind of like a double entendre there in Elvish. Because Gur, if I remember correctly, Gur is like a dark foe. It's like a monster. And Thang is sword. So it has a double meaning there. Monster sword / Death Iron. I mean, basically means the same thing. Thong is sword in Sindarin, though. Like, so they're... Yeah. Thanks, Glam Shatterskull. Yeah, that's basically it. Oh, maybe it's... Oh, I'm sorry, I'm thinking Lang Egorthend. That's different. This is what happens when I do this tired. I'm missing up all my words. You're right. Thong is oppression. Yeah. Oh my gosh, my brain. Yeah, I was thinking Long and Thend, and they got mishmashed in my body. My brain is mush. I apologize. Lang Egorthend is swords or shields. So Lang is sword, Thend is shield. And my brain can't distinguish anything right now. Thank you. Thank you for the correction. I'm A-okay being corrected. This is why I love you guys, because I'm not the only one. I appreciate it. Thank you. And from my research, Eol has... It's not definitive. It's not definitive what kind of elf he is, but one version says that he was kin of the Noldor. He was kin of the Noldor, but he didn't go over to Valinor because he didn't want to. And he was alienated from all of the Noldor. So is he technically then a Noldor or not? Is he a Noldor or not? And that's up for debate. But vaguely originally kin with them, in my head, that does make him of Noldorin descent. But he's super old, so... Much like, you know, Olwe and Elwë. Alright, next. Next poster. Okay. Cool. So definitely have some of the equestrian designs that we see with Rohan. Rohan does show up a bit later on. This might be like a predecessor. It might be a predecessor of Rohan. Eol is super creepy. Absolutely creepy. Eol is a very dark character. Very self-serving. Very much I get what I want when I want it. Don't question me. He's very domineering when it comes to Arvel, whom he, quote, takes as wife? Tolkien is very clear that elves cannot be conceived through rape, because the conception of an elf, when elves bang and they make children, it's not just a meeting of physical bodies, it's a meeting of spirits. You have to will a child into being for the elves. Because of that, Eol must have, in some way, sparked something in Arvel, who's an Noldorin princess. Must have sparked something in her to where she wanted a child. Now, she feared and despised Eol. But sometimes we have kids for the wrong reasons, right? So this is probably one of those cases. So people like to speculate that Maeglin was conceived out of rape, but Tolkien did not write. He did not write the elves in a way that allows that to be true. Personal opinion. Again, you can argue with me all you want, and I won't take it personally. This is my viewpoint. But elves didn't just happen by accident. So in some way, Arvel had to at least want a kid, even if she didn't like Eol. But he's creepy, and he didn't name his child until he was a freaking adult. Or at least, like, the first decade or something. He refused to name Maeglin. And so Maeglin's original name was Lomion. And Lomion was given a name given to him by his mother. She named him in secret, because Eol refused to do so. It ain't great. When elves bang. I mean, you know, it happens. Elves bang just like everything else bangs. She bangs. Oh my gosh. Hey, Expectigo, what's up, James? You came in on When Elves Bang. Well, I mean... what do you want out of me? Welcome to my live stream. My name is Chris, this is Wizard Way, and we talk about elves banging. It's true. We do talk about elves banging. Oh yeah, the posters are pretty epic. This one, I honestly couldn't tell you. My expertise is really strictly to the elves and the Ainur. Mortal men, especially when you get into the Numenoreans in the Second Age, not my forte. They are not my forte. I'm currently rereading the Silmarillion. I do need to get back into doing Silmarillion Saturday with y'all. It's gonna happen. Hey, thank you so much. Thank you for sending the love. But yes, so this is someone related to Eor the Young. Perhaps. It very well could be. Yeah. That would make sense to me. We also did have, I don't know if they've still continued to move forward with this, but we were supposed to have a Rohan specific origin story kind of animated feature out of the Tolkien estate. One assumes that would also be through WB. They seem to have the rights to all of this. WB/New Line. Yeah, the Rohan anime. Exactly. They were going to do an animated feature about Rohan. And I would love to... I'd have to double check the little teaser that we got for that. But perhaps there are some design elements in common with the anime. That would be something that one would want to check out for sure. But that's a possibility. Because obviously we have this very iconic horse design that shows up all the way to the Third Age. So having the horse lords in some way, shape, or form in the Second Age would make sense. It would make sense. Now, timing-wise, like when did the wild men clash with the men that then become the Rohirrim? Again, not my forte. I could not narrow that down for you. Not my specialty. Let's move on to the next poster. These are so cool. These are so cool, though. Okay. Green acorns. My very first thought is Ents. My very first thought, because those are not normal acorns. Hey, have fun at the zoo. Please be safe. Elf or a hobbit? Could potentially be a hobbit. It would be cool to see, you know, hobbits popping up out of holes in the ground. But they tend to be very connected to the earth, so it would make sense. But these look like special acorns, and that makes me think Ents, maybe, perhaps. I have no proof of this. Pure speculation. There's nothing for me to decode with Elvish in this particular poster, so I'm not positive. Not positive. But yeah, green acorns. Green acorns just they automatically make me think Ents. Special acorns. Have another bean. Sorry. Reference to Into the Woods. My brain's all over the place. Forgive me. Here, you want a bean. Have another bean. Beans are for making you rich. Beans don't make you rich in Middle-earth. Sorry, guys. I don't know. I have no idea. Ooh, this is cool. Oh my god. Soul leaves body. Oh my god. Look at this one. Okay, I'm breathing. I'm breathing. Okay. Okay, you know what gets me so excited about this? The hilt of that sword is the Two Trees of Valinor. Oh no! That's the Two Trees of Valinor. So I just moved into a new house, and I'm trying to design my house after Valinor. Like, obviously it's not going to be, like, super crazy, but I have decals that I'm putting on my wall. I'm putting a gold and silver tree in my living room. Ah! Okay, so Telperion and Laurelin. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. I want that sword. Please tell me they're going to make reproductions of this sword. Rip my wallet, but but I want one. I want one so bad. Hands are feminine. Hands are indeed feminine. And even the way that they tapered the chainmail is slightly more feminine. So, yeah. It's also a slighter. It's a narrower hilt. That pommel is so gorgeous, though. Oh my god, the design of this sword. Oh, I'm dying. It's so beautiful. It is so beautiful. This could very, very well be Galadriel. Galadriel would be one of the elves, at least, you know, if we're talking specifically in Middle-earth, who would have the balls to make a sword and wield a sword that had the Two Trees of Valinor on it? If we're talking female elf, it's definitely Galadriel. Hands down. Easy. Easy. And if you wanna know why, it's because Galadriel, when she was still living in Valinor, was close with Yavanna. And close with Vanna, which is Yavanna's younger sister, who gathered the light from the two trees in great pools, and tended the golden flowers of Lorelin. Like, there's so much beautiful detail here. Yes. Yes. Two trees symbology, absolutely. Absolutely. That, and just look at the beautiful lines of that armor, and thank goodness they didn't go for like a super obvious cup. You know what I'm talking about. Fantasy armor is not kind to women in 99% of the case. So this looks fantastic. They didn't go overboard. It has a slightly feminine line, but it's not about sexualizing the elves. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for not sexualizing the elves, because that's not what they're there for. Can they be sexual beings? Absolutely. And in my brain, they very much are. But the point of armor is not to sexualize women. This is great. This, honestly, this is fantastic. I'm so excited. But yes, my guess would be Galadriel. If it's not Galadriel, then it's someone in Valinor. It could be one of the elves of Tol Eressëa. Because if we are going to get into the fall of Numenor, we are going to be dealing with the elves of Tol Eressëa. Because that's where the conflict happens between the elves and the Numenoreans. Because they want to go over to Valinor, and the elves are like, you're not allowed. And they're like, why not? And they're like, because the gods told us you're not allowed. We don't know. It becomes a thing. But elves that actually live in Valinor would absolutely, you know, wield swords like this. So yeah, potentially it could be one of the Noldor. It could be one of the Telerin elves. If I'm keeping all my options open, but honestly, this is probably battle form Galadriel. So happy. I'm not even a fan of Galadriel, and I'm so happy. I don't even care. I don't even care about Galadriel, but this is great. Yeah, Angerthas Moria instead of Angerthas Daeron explains the first Kirth inscription, yes. The double S became the NG, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I probably missed the comment. I apologize. I'm trying to keep up. I thought that this was pulling... My stream chat should be coming from both Twitch and YouTube, but apparently that's not the case. I'll make sure that I fix that. I'll make sure that I fix that before the next live stream, because I am simul-streaming to both, and I definitely want to see everyone's comments. So if you're on YouTube, I apologize if I've been missing all your comments. I'll try and fix that. I promise I will. Yeah, no to booby armor. No thank you. No thank you. Moving on. Oh my god, that sword though. Breathe, Chris. Oh my word. Okay, next one. Okay. Number 1, what is the Talon from? So in this poster, if you're looking at this from TikTok, I'm looking at a poster of very threadbare person, dirty hands, clutching what looks to be a walking stick or staff. If it's a staff, it's a very short one, and it cuts off about chest height. Could it be a staff? Yes, it's probably a walking stick. But as an ornament on this walking stick, which is straight and then moves into a gnarled curve, we have what looks like a talon of some sort. And what would that talon be of? Could it be a dragon talon? An eagle talon? There are a couple different things it could be. That's kind of cool. Sam Neill with a raptor claw. I mean, it's kind of similar. It's too small, that's the thing. It's far too small to be a dragon claw. Unless that was a baby dragon. Which, you know, it could be. But there aren't very many dragons. My thought would be no, that it's not a dragon claw. It could be an eagle claw. But again, these beasts tend to be really large in Tolkien's world. So I'm not sure about that. The cloak is super thick. Very well worn. So this is someone who's obviously been out in the wilds for a while. Very, very simple. I mean, we could be looking at a blue wizard. We never know what happened to them. So there's an opportunity there. It could be one of the blue wizards. It's just a guess. But that doesn't look like a staff, it looks like a walking stick. So it could be a hobbit, it could be a wandering man. The threading and the design of the clothing makes me not think that it's Elvish at all. So I would say mortal man, perhaps hobbit. Perhaps hobbit. Are we approaching these images from the POV that these are all people who end up holding a ring of power? Me, not necessarily. Not all of them have rings on. That and we were given, what, 24 images? That's what people were saying. I haven't counted them. But if we were given 24 posters, there are only 20 rings of power, including the one ring. There were 19 other rings. 3 Elvish rings, 7 Dwarvish rings, so that's 10. 9 mortal men rings, so that's 19, and then the one ring, so 20. If we have 24 images, I don't think we're going to see every single ring bearer. Mortal man, especially if it's an eagle-ish sized talon, because a hobbit it would be huge. Good point. Excellent point. Excellent point. I forgot about the size difference. That's a great point. So yeah, definitely mortal man. I would say mortal man. Mortal man on this one. I apologize. Like, the images are over here for you guys, but they're over here for me. Were there 23? Okay. Even so, that's more than 20, and there are more characters that play important roles that don't end up with rings of power. So I think it's safe to say, and we haven't seen too many dwarves, and there would be 7 of them if we saw all the ring bearers. So I don't think so. But this is fun. This is fun. So yeah, mortal man, perhaps a wizard. It's a long shot for one of the blue wizards. But I mean, there is a blue tint to the robes. They're very well worn. The blue wizards wandered off and were never heard from again. We don't know exactly where they went, except to the east and south. So maybe they went amongst the Easterlings and the Haradrim, the men of the south. So we don't know. Could play in. Be really cool. I would love to see them bring in the blue wizards and make something out of them, because Tolkien was very vague on that. I don't mind the TV show taking certain artistic liberties. I expect that to a certain extent. I expect there to be a certain artistic license being taken in order to fill some of the gaps of the lore, but also giving space for original characters, which is why I might try to identify some of these characters, but some of them might not even be identifiable, because they may be original characters. They did list a couple original characters in the leaks of the cast, so I would not be surprised if some of them are original characters. Ooh, okay, we got berries? Is this Goldberry? Is this seriously, like, with the long blonde hair? This could totally be Goldberry. That would be such a play. That would be such a power play. Goldberry, perhaps. It's completely possible. Look at how long that hair is. Like, she's using her hair, whether or not this is actually attached to her head, she's using hair as, like, a strap for a pouch. Not blonde, it's more gray. That's fair. That's fair as well. Hands are feminine in size and shape. That's just my own observation. I would laugh so much if that's Goldberry. But yeah, it looks like they're holding a bag up, that the rope for the bag, the strap for the bag, has been made out of their hair. Which, even if you had really beautiful golden hair, if you cut it off and roped it together to make a satchel with it, it would fade. It would fade from use. Think it's a hobbit? It could be. It absolutely could be. Those berries are super freaking big. They do look like raspberries, but they're huge. So, yeah, I would say with the size difference. Could be a dwarven woman, absolutely. Wouldn't that be an interesting design choice? Because women have beards too, right? So if female dwarfs have beards, having a female dwarf like use her beard as like part of a satchel, super utilitarian, and I like that. But yeah, this is definitely a smaller than normal person. So dwarf woman, definitely a possibility. That'd be so cool to see like a dwarf woman using her beard in that utilitarian way. I think that's really fun. That's a fun choice. I don't know if that's the case here, but that's a fun choice. It's a fun thing to think about. So yeah, could be that, and could be a hobbit. It could be a hobbit as well. Very long hair for a hobbit, though. I like the thought that this is a dwarf woman. That's super fun. But yeah, those raspberries are freaking huge. All right, let's move on to the next. On to the next. Another female character. Lava rock bracelet. That's kind of cool. No clue on this one. No clue on identity. But those are definitely feminine hands. Whether or not this person has a thick frame, I can't tell, but the clothing is done in a way that gives the feel of a stouter frame. The arms are still small, though. So it might just be camera angle and costuming. But who could this be? The pattern on the clothing makes me think lower class Numenor. I could be completely wrong. That lava bracelet's cool, though. Can I zoom in on that? I'm gonna try and save this. Okay, we're gonna save it, and I'm gonna open it. Open with photos. Alright, let's zoom in. That is indeed a lava rock bracelet. Looks like basalt. I know because I make bracelets like that. I have those. I'm like, I have those beads actually. Or at least something very similar to them. These look like they were actually crafted though, not either they've been polished, they're polished lava rock, or they were crafted specifically for this purpose, in which case they were probably molded and designed. Because there might be tiny, tiny details on there. Things look relatively random, but they might not be. I could be wrong there, so I'll accept that as a possibility. That's cool though, that's cool. Look at the comments. Look at the comments over there. Stop spamming our timeline. No, this is the exciting stuff. If that's what people are complaining about, oh my god, there's too much detail, there's too much content. What? Go away. Let us have fun. It ain't about you. But yeah, either that's polished lava rock for her bracelet, or it was handcrafted. Excuse me. They could have done an image a day for hype. Yeah, but why? Especially if they gave each image to a different content creator to be able to put it out there. That's so cool. I want to be included, but that's so cool. Very much a pick me. Especially that, oh my god, I would have lost it if I got that image with the Two Trees sword. If I had gotten that image ahead of time, I would have lost my shit. Okay, who is this guy with rope? Rope, very typical with riggings on ships, so this could very well be a Numenorean. That's just a basic guess on my part. There's nothing to tell me for sure who this is. I'll say the ring doesn't give me any real hint either. That's a very simple ring on his pinky finger, which is interesting placement. But looking at the rope, and that looks like weather-worn rope. So my guess would be a Numenorean of some sort. No clue, but that's my guess. I'll stick to it. I do like the little hints that we get here of embroidery, and little hint on the strap here as well. Probably a satchel. Could be a bow and arrow, but I don't think so. I think that's gonna be a satchel. Looks like a working person. I like it. Hey, thanks for Thanks for chatting. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Eating around. I like that. It does look like a younger person. Correct. Yeah. Hands aren't nearly as worn. They're not that dirty either. Considering how dirty some of the hands have been, like, I mean, even just looking at, you know, her hands, much dirtier. Much dirtier. This person, heckin' dirty. But then you compare it with this guy. Very clean. Very clean. So what does that tell us? I don't know. I don't know, but it's cool. Interesting detail. I like that. I'm trying to think, that's all. Hey, thank you. Thank you, Kappa. Alright, next. Ooh, okay, okay. Wow. What a cool image that is. Okay. So... Wow, look at that outfit, though. Okay, so... This one, it could be Galadriel. But honestly, I think the hands are too old. I think the hands are too old to be Galadriel, and that makes me, with the whole flower thing, it's a white bloom. That could have to do with the white tree that's in Numenor, because it does blossom. So this could be Numenorean royalty. Very well could be. I love the sort of fish scale look of the chest piece. Fantastic. And some of the beading, some of the brocade along the sides, it has sort of a flower-like look to it. I mean, if they went for Valar, this could be Yavanna? Could be. Oh man, if they made Yavanna ethnic, I would be so happy about that. That would be so good. I'm like, please give ethnic people big roles. And even if they're minor characters, but if they're big in importance in the universe, heck yes. Love the design though, all the warm colors. But with the sort of fish scale look up here, and with Numenor definitely being a fixture in the series, my thought is that this is from the White Tree. I think it'll be the White Tree in Numenor. Which, I'm blanking on the name, let me look it up. White Tree of Numenor. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Armenelos is the capital. My computer's like, no! Nimloth. Okay, the elves of Erisea brought many gifts to Numenor, one of which was the seedling of the white tree Celeborn, and it grew in the courts of the king. It was called Nimloth. Okay, Nimloth. I'll say, I know it's not Celeborn, but I couldn't remember what it was. It's Nimloth. Nice. And Nimloth means white flower. Nimloth, because Loth is flower, and Nim is... it's one of several different terms that are used for like a bright white or a sparkling white. So Nimloth means white flower, which is why this makes perfect sense. This makes sense. So I'm thinking Numenorean royalty. Yeah, could be Nimloth. Tarmiriel. Isn't it just a Telperion sapling? Kind of. It was a separate tree. So the silver tree Telperion, there was one that was akin to it, but it wasn't a direct sapling from it. But the trees were related. But there was a white tree in Tyrion on Tuna. From that tree, you got Celeborn, and from Celeborn you got Nimloth. They actually, I know they have a page of this. I'm pretty sure on Tolkien Gateway they have a page about this. Let's click on Nimloth. It'll probably be here. The genealogy of it. Because there is like a genealogy chart. I vaguely remember it. This is what happens when you end up like going down those rabbit holes in the middle of the night. Finding out a bunch of... Hey, see, there we go. There we go. Galathilion was made in the image of Telperion, so they're like related, but it's not directly from Telperion. I was right. I love being right. So this was in Tyrion on Tuna. Celeborn was Tol Eressëa, and then Nimloth was of Numenor. And then we get the White Trees of Gondor, because they take a little cutting of it away before Numenor go bye-bye. But you do have several different trees of Gondor. And so that's what they show here. Planted by Isildur, planted by Isildur, planted by Tarondur, and then planted by Elisar. Yeah, Isildur took a sapling. Correct. I'm glad I clicked on it, because this is exactly what was in my head. I'm like, I remember that Telperion is technically separate. Yeah, so Galathilion, Celeborn, then Nimloth. Slowly working their way west. Alright, back to the images. So yeah, I would definitely say it's a bloom from Nimloth. This probably has to do with the Numenoreans. Fish scale, chest piece, right in line with the whole mariner vibe that we get in Numenor. That makes sense. So maybe Queen of Numenor? Depending on how early on we go in the Second Age, this could be the wife of Elros. Possibly the first Queen of Numenor. The whole reason Elros chose to be mortal instead of immortal. Be cool to see. I like that. Ooh, okay. Oh man, the design of that book is so cool. This is so cool. I really like the simple lines, the simple underbust line that they did for this gown, and what a gorgeous color. It's like a burnt orange, like a burnt red orange. I love that color. One of my favorite colors. That's like the fiery red-orange color that I love so much. Of course, you know, my room does not have that color in it at all. My accent wall is a dark navy because I'm going to make a starscape out of it. With Elvish details, because I can, because I own this place. Hell yeah. Oh man, but I love just the simplicity of it. That's like the beautiful, that's just such a beautiful thing. Such a beautiful thing. So probably Numenorean. Again, it's just a guess. This does not look particularly Elvish to me. The braided ropes and just the simple studs down the slit sleeves there, I would say Numenorean. So that's a guess. Love that color. Like I don't even wear dresses, but I want that dress. All right, next. Ooh, okay. We got some old school writing. There are some runes mixed in there, but it's also pictographic. Super cool. Someone's got a ring on a chain as well. Hell yeah, black person in the cast. Hell yes. I'm loving how many different skin tones there are in these posters. Can I just say that? There are certain Tolkien purists that are like, these people were all canonically white. And I'm like, So? So what? I don't care. I'm not gonna argue with people on that. Inclusivity is totally my jam, and I'm so happy to see people of different skin tones here. Yes. It does look like that actor that was reported to be playing a hobbit. I would love that. And I would personally, I love for the hobbits to have their own writing system. Oh, their own early writing system before they adopt the writing from other cultures. Them having a pictographic language makes perfect sense to me. That makes perfect sense to me. Yeah, and the ring around the neck. Yeah, I do see that. The chain. And that's something that was forged. It was forged like that. You'd have to either forge it that way, or you'd have to have chain links that you could open and then close to get the ring around them. So it's not like you just threaded a chain through the center of the ring. That's actually, it's attached. 2 rings on either side. Very cool. Yeah, I get Hobbit vibe out of this, for sure. Simple clothing, kind of worn. I love the homespun thread that we use to close the scroll with. Love those details. The paper itself looks like what you would make. You know, when you use those certain methods, I'm like blanking out on the when you make homemade paper, it looks like that. When you make homemade paper, it looks like that. With all the fibers, and you do it wet and then you let it dry. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? The writing isn't in an orderly line. Yeah, I mean, there are lines, but when it's pictographic, there's a lot of wiggle room. There's a lot of wiggle room. Also, the size of the characters can make a difference as far as the meaning goes. You know, if this character means a specific word, having it over here but taller can mean something different. Yeah, this reminds me of the Egyptian pictographs. It's kind of cool. But you've got, a sun, you've got hills, trees. What does this mean? I don't know. But it's really cool. Yeah, and his hands are super clean. Yeah, that does stand out as well, you're right. It's so interesting to be so focused on these little details because we don't have faces. It's all intentional. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. When you choose to go this marketing route, this takes all of the focus off of the characters, as far as like the physical appearance of the faces, right? Without the faces, that's an intentional choice to focus on production quality. This is an excuse to show off production quality. This is look at the costuming, look at the details. Without faces to focus on, because our brains would immediately zone in on the eyes of a character, right? We tend to do that, and then we notice other details. Without that focus, it forces our attention to meander, and that's exactly what they want. It's totally a marketing thing. I did this when I had a press. Now, granted, we published primarily queer erotica, but a lot of the same principles apply. It's the same marketing strategy. These are just non-sexual images. So cool. Love the thought of that being a hobbit, and that they have their own writing system. Love that. I love that so much. Next. Ooh, girl. Okay. Oh my god, look at the details. This kills me. It's so nice. Look at that, oh, what's it called? Brain. What is the name of that symbol? The triple swirly symbol. It has a name. It has an actual name, and I'm completely blanking on it. I wouldn't be so swift to name this as Gil-galad. I wouldn't, no. This would not be Gil-galad in my head. This would be Anarion. My first thought is that this is Anarion. This is Isildur's brother. Triskelion, thank you. I'm like, it's Tris something. I'm like, it has an S and a K and I don't remember. Yeah, Triskelion, thank you. Orodreth. It could be. Orodreth. I mean, just my first thought is Anarion, though, because his name is son. It's son of the sun. Anarion means son of the sun. Sun child. Whereas Isildur has to do with Isil, or Ithiel, which is the moon. Elendil, his name is Star Friend. So, again, knowing Elvish, but no, this strikes me as Anarion. Anarion would absolutely have sun-themed everything. But you still get that Numenorean feel with the sort of fish scale detail work on that Triskelion design within the sun design. I would be super surprised if this was not Anarion. It's a guess. And I'm trying to see, is there... Okay, no. I was just looking really close at the ring to see if that was Elvish writing, but it's not. It's not. It's just a pattern. Loving all the detail work on those bracers, though, and look at the stitch work underneath that. Those large, thick stitches. Oh, man. This is so cool. This is so incredibly cool. The clean lines on this sword, too. I appreciate simplistic sword design. Like, details are great, but... Yeah, if we saw Gil-galad, he would have his spear. He would have Aiglos. Absolutely. Aiglos means icicle. And that is the name of Gil-galad's spear. I absolutely agree that if we see Gil-galad, he will probably have a spear. Ooh, but yeah, I'm thinking Anarion. The Triskelion doesn't necessarily have to be associated with the Silmarils. In fact, with its origin being what it is in our Earth's culture, I would expect it to not be having to do with the elves at all. So my honest guess here is Anarion. And I'll leave it at that. Love the design work, though. Look at the textures. I'm in love. Oh, heck yes. Heck yes. Okay. Now we're cooking with grease. Oh, man. Look at the dark design of that sword. You always know it's a bad guy because everything's black and spiky. Spikes are totally Nazgul, man. Totally Nazgul. I love the design here. It's so wonderfully messy. That's like Elvish design corrupted. It's so good. Yes, it looks like a sun. I think they meant that the Triskelion was reminiscent of the Silmarils. Because it's a 3 thing. It's a Trinity kind of thing. But I just in general disagree. Yeah, I think it's more about the suns and less about the Triskelion. But this design. It looks like Elvish design corrupted. Because if you look at this sword and you look at... Come back to me. This sword. This one looks like it's been under the ocean for a while, you know what I mean? So that's why I do think that this is Gorthang. But you can see the lines of the Elvish design. Even though this was designed by Eol, so it's going to have a slightly different feel from other Elvish weapons, but like, it makes sense. And then you end up scroll up here. But you can see it has similar sort of the curvy lines. It has a little hint of that Elvish elegance. But then you look at the pommel, and that pommel is just fucking twisted. It has some jewels stuck in there, but like that is literally taking the lines and making it something corrupted. That is melt it down. Like that is burn the forests. That is that is the aesthetic, honestly, of Sauron. It would be interesting to see if this was Sauron. I don't know that it is. I can't see enough detail on the gauntlet here. I would love to see more detail. But him having a jewel, like a dark jewel-encrusted sword, would make perfect sense to me. Because that's the whole vibe of Sauron. Sauron is goodness corrupted. Sauron had amazing skill in the forge. Like he could absolutely forge his own weapons. And he would take these certain design elements that he learned in Valinor and would corrupt them and twist them into something darker. That's absolutely in line with his character arc. So this could be one of the Nazgul. It could be. Or it could be Sauron. It could be Sauron early First Age. What's killing me here is actually in this background. This little tiny slit in the negative space that we see here. Because is that light? Or is it his hair? That's what gets me. And I'm absolutely probably reading too much into this, but that's what I do, okay? That's totally what I do. If this little bit behind here is a hint of golden hair, we could be looking at Anatar. Sauron when he goes dark after being Anatar. That'd be so cool. I hope that's what it is. And it's not even about me wanting to see sexy Sauron, because I mean, yeah, that's part of it, but I really want them to explore Sauron's motivations, because Tolkien does talk a bit about that. Yet let's be honest, we all want sexy Sauron. Like, that's a non-starter. We all want to see that. But watching Sauron have this chance at happiness and reconciliation and turning dark again is something that I want to see. This is why I really wish that the entire series was told from Sauron's perspective. Get deep in there. For goodness sake, go deep into the darkness. I want to see what's down there. I want to see the internal struggle that Sauron has when he befriends Celebrimbor and then has to destroy him in order to continue his plot with the rings. I want to see that break Sauron beyond repair, and thus Sauron turns even darker. Because then he's really like, well, to Autumno with it all. He just casts everything aside at that point and becomes the evil that everyone expects him to be. And I think that there's such an opportunity there for developing the character of Sauron. I so desperately want to see that. I don't know if I will, but I want to. So it's a guess. It's a guess. If that's golden hair behind this person, then I want to say it's Sauron. I really want it to be Sauron, because what a cool design choice with the jewels all over this sort of corrupted Elvish style sword. I mean, hell yeah. I love it. Next. Apple. Okay. Apple, very dirty fingernails. I love the broad weave of the cloak here. Now, do I know who this is? Absolutely not. I have no idea. But yes, we do have a beard. Yeah, I see the beard. Beard, dirty hands, apple. Now, apple? Question mark? Twilight? Whenever I see a poster like this that's just an apple, it takes me back to Twilight, and I'm re-traumatized all over again. Was it Morgoth? It could have been. Oh, you're responding to something else. If Sauron ever had a sword. Yeah, he tends to use Grond, his warhammer. Mm-hmm. But because Sauron was defeated in battle, right? At the end of the First Age, you can sort of assume that Sauron, being defeated and being weaponless, was then... He went back into Middle-earth in the Second Age, not having anything from the First Age. I think that's a safe assumption. Now, he could have easily made another hammer. We do see it in late Second Age at the Battle of the Last Alliance in Pelennor Fields. You do see that Sauron has a hammer, and he's swinging that thing and just hurling elves all over the place. Would it be the only weapon that he wields? I don't think so. A hammer is great when you're in big, bulky Hulk form, but when you're in a smaller Elvish form, I think a sword is far more practical. Personal viewpoint there. It was Morgoth. We see a lot of similarities between Morgoth and Sauron, the way they were depicted. But we do see Sauron in the Lord of the Rings prologue, in Fellowship of the Ring. We do see him wielding a hammer. So. Yeah, with Fingolfin, that was Morgoth. We do know that Sauron tried to emulate Morgoth as much as possible when he takes over later on. So, I mean, there's enough crossover that it is... Both viewpoints are valid. A black Numenorean? It could be. It could be, you're right. Again, we're looking at design corrupted, so it could be. It could be the Dark Cult of Melkor. That would be pretty cool to see, too. I want to see that Dark Cult stuff, too. I don't know who this is. If I'm being completely honest, I just don't know. Okay, we got another. Lots of detail on this one, again with the sun design. Sun design, it looks like up here we have a little bit more of the star-like design as well. We're mixing elements here. And let's see the two rings that he's wearing. Green and what looks like either a dark pearl or obsidian. What do you guys think? Were hobbits around in the Second Age? To our knowledge, yes. We don't know when. We don't know when the hobbits popped up and what their origin is. We don't really know. Tolkien isn't very clear about it. Could this be Elrond? It could be. It could be. I almost like to think that the red-robed guy was Elrond, though. The one with the scroll way down at the bottom. All the way down here. This screams more Elrond vibe to me. With that in mind, though, could the one that we're looking at up here be Elros? That's a possibility. It would not be the first time that we've put red and blue as juxtaposing colors within the same family. A lot of times that Fingolfin and Feanor are depicted, Feanor is always red, Fingolfin is always blue. That happened a lot. And then you get more of a sea blue into a green color for Finarfin and his line. Because Finrod his heraldry was green, it was a bow on a green background. I think the red and gold would be Elrond, and this perhaps could be Elros. It would be really cool to see Elros in here. Elros's name means starfoam, so... I kind of like the starfoam name meaning with this particular design element, looking at the frothy kind of design that we have on the robe here. But that, again, that's me getting really deep into the details. Do we think we'll get bearded elves in the show? Perhaps. Círdan canonically has beard, and I do think that Círdan will play a role in this show. I have no way of proving it, but I do think that he will. This green stone here also makes me think of the Ring of Barahir, which does eventually get passed down to Aragorn. I don't remember if Elros gets it, though, or if it's in Galadriel's line for a bit and then it's gifted to Aragorn. I can't remember. I'd have to look it up. Do I think Tom Bombadil will be in the show? I don't know why he would be. Tom Bombadil is such an enigma of a character. He's never been given a true role within the storyline of Middle-earth. He's just sort of there. He's a completely separate entity. And he's an unknown quantity. Like, we don't know what he can do, but he's kind of godlike, but he's super mysterious. We don't know what Tom Bombadil's about. Which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's telling. It's telling. I think they would have to box Tom Bombadil in some ways in order to make him relevant to the plot. And I feel like that would just be shoehorning him in. So I honestly, I don't think that he'll be involved, even though we did get that teaser of a character codenamed Adar. Because, oh gosh, what was the full name? It's like Anadar Iarwain. It's like the oldest and fatherless is the Sindarin name for Tom Bombadil. Ben Adar, thank you. I'm like, Iarwain Ben Adar. I'm like, I know it has Adar and I know it has Iarwain. Because Iar is old. Wine is a superlative suffix, so oldest. Ben is without and Adar. Old young. Yeah, definitely not youngest, no. Ben Adar is without father, it's fatherless, and Iarwain is eldest or oldest. Superlative is an old interpretation. That's fair. This is just from my knowledge. Most of my knowledge is based on 2004, and I'll be the first to admit this. The basis of my knowledge of Elvish is based in 2004, and I know that Parma Eldalamberon has put out several issues since then, especially the one that was released in 2017, really changed a lot of what we know about Elvish, so I'm currently relearning and trying to revise my knowledge. From Thorsten Rank. That's legit. Thorsten knows what he's talking about. I'm working more in close contact with Fiona Jallings. Alright, next picture. This one's longer. Interesting combination of having the stars and this sort of sun wheel-like design element. I don't know who this is. Feminine hands. And we do see a little hint of bust here. I don't know who it is. I can appreciate all the detailing in the fabrics, though. It's so nice. Yeah, Fiona's really good at keeping things current. She's working on a second edition of A Fan's Guide to Neo-Cinderin. I have her notes. She's been very, very forthcoming with me, which is super sweet of her. It's very nice because apparently when Fiona was first getting started with Elvish, my partner reached out to her and was like, here are some resources, like, you're doing this wrong. So, and my partner's the one who taught me originally. So there is sort of this weird, we all kind of know each other, question mark, from back when my partner was reaching out to practically everyone that she saw using Elvish and making sure that they were using it as correctly as we knew at the time in 2004. So yeah, that was my partner. She is amazing. I miss her a lot. Her cremains are in my crystal ball. I always have her with me when I'm talking Tolkien stuff, because she would have loved this. She would have just loved this so much, and I'm so sad she's not here to share it with me. Yeah, the design has a certain Rohan element to it, that's fair, sort of in the belt design. But if you look really closely on the belt, we have a lot of these little tiny elvish details. Very elf-like details. The elves also like to use this leaf sort of shape for their belt buckles. This one's a little less pronounced than the others, but that's what makes me skew more toward elf. That and just the stars. The stars are used so much for elves. They are, of course, later used for the Numenoreans as well, but be interesting if that was Elwing, but I don't think we'll see her. She's long since gone. Long since gone. Maybe in a flashback, but that would be the most we would get of Elwing. That's Elrond and Elros's mother. I don't know. Is that it? Oh my gosh, that's it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 23 images. Wow. There's so much there. There's so much there. Love the gold dust on a few of these characters. It's really exciting. Yeah, the elven lines of this particular one right here really jumps out as being either Celebrimbor or Gil-galad. Now we do see Gil-galad in a lot of greens and blue and gold, because he's descended from Fingon in some iterations of the Legendarium. He inherits the sort of the star thing. His heraldry has stars in it. So while this does look like the Star of Feanor, which would indicate more Celebrimbor, it could also be Gil-galad, because Gil-galad uses stars in his heraldry too. So yes, it could be Gil-galad instead, which would make sense. It would also make sense for him to have a shit ton of rings too. But if we were looking at the rings of power, they probably would have kept the same design of the 3 elven rings. So we would see Narya and Vilya the way we saw them with Elrond and Gandalf in The Lord of the Rings. I don't think they would change the design of them, because I don't think the rings would have been altered after their original casting, because they're rings of power. So I don't think that he's wearing any of the rings of power here. You know, perhaps, question mark, but I don't think so. I don't think so. So this could be Gil-galad, or it could be Celebrimbor. I think that it's Gil-galad. I think that this is more likely to be Celebrimbor. It's possible. And that's just, it's purely based on the gold dust on the hands. Truly. Yeah, he uses stars in his name. Yeah, Gil-galad means star brilliance, yeah. Like brilliance and silver and stuff. I swear if they make him a dark-haired elf, though, if they make Gil-galad dark-haired, I'ma lose my shit. It could be Anatar. You're right, it could be. It could be. We don't know. Could be Anatar. The only reason it pokes me as Celebrimbor is just because the placement of the two images. We've got a dwarf here with gold on his hands, and then we have someone else here with gold on their hands too. Yeah. It could be Anatar. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. It could be. I'm just thinking if this is Narvi, then it would make sense for Celebrimbor to follow that. But that's me assuming that these were posted in a specific order, and not necessarily the case. If they were all simultaneously posted, things get jumbled sometimes with Twitter. But it looks like they were posted different minutes. So this is 8:01, 8:03. So these were posted a couple minutes apart, and all of this stuff is always it's pre-organized. So I think that this was put intentionally. Yeah, 8:01, and then 8:03. So these were scheduled a couple minutes apart on purpose. I'm still excited. They're gonna want to create twists and mislead us? Absolutely. That's half the fun. That's half the fun of being a marketer. Leading people in one direction, being like, haha! You only think you know what we're doing. Zelda was the boy, Link is the princess. Oh. You know, I'd be all for that switch up. I'd be fine with that. Let's gender swap that story. I'm all for it. Oh my gosh, but guys, this one, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. The horse pommel. Horse pommel, I have no way of really knowing. I'm thinking it has something to do with the predecessors of Rohan. Just because there are so many design elements that are similar. I love the sort of off-center angle of this sword, though. I really don't know. I really do not know. One thing to look at, though, is if you look at the texture here, the texture of the stitching, the pattern of the really broad stitching, we see that in another one of them. Let me find it. Like, we saw that again. Here. Same stitching pattern. So, I don't know. Same stitching pattern, though. Excited and using bad words. That's fine. I mean, same. I've been stumbling over my words this entire time. It could be Numenorean cavalry. I mean, I know you're saying lol, but like, it could be. We don't know. We only pretend to know, okay? We pretend to know when we speculate. I can't get over this one, though. Like, honestly. Shut up and take my money. I want this sword. I'm not even a fan of Galadriel, but if this is Galadriel, I want her sword. Badly. Badly. I would do bad things to get a copy of this sword. This one, I know. Oh my god. Like, for someone who's elf obsessed like me, this is the ultimate right here. This is it. That is totally it. It doesn't get better than this. It does not get better than this. Yeah, I think that because we know that Isildur is somehow going to be involved in this at some point, and it looks like that design is for Anarion, we are going to go from earlier Third Age all the way to the Second Age all the way to the end of the Second Age into the Third Age. Because if we have Isildur and Anarion, we're definitely going to go all the way to the Battle of the Last Alliance. But even Numenoreans weren't that long-lived, so that really narrows it down for their particular plot points. But at the very least, we'll be getting flashbacks, because there are a lot of what appear to be Elvish characters here. And while the elves are present, I think that having Galadriel, Elrond, and Gil-galad makes perfect sense for the latter portion of the Second Age, but if we're going into the actual forging of the Rings of Power and the downfall of Eregion, we should see sexy Sauron, and we should see Celebrimbor, and the entire realm of Osten Edhil in Eregion, which would be so cool. Angrist? Showrunners explicitly said we'll see the Last Alliance in an interview somewhere, you believe. Gotta see if you can find it. That's cool. I don't look. That's the thing. Like, I try to not completely spoil myself. Sauron Celebrimbor romance, please. Yes. Yes. Like, more than anything, yes. Because Sauron should be pan. / bi. Whatever. Whichever term you prefer. I have a shirt that says Sauron is bisexual. It's a design I made myself because I'm passionate about this. You will never get me to shut up. Absolutely silver gifting. Silver gifting all the way there and back again. What about Baron's knife? Question mark? I don't even remember the name of his knife. Oops. Let's see. Baron's knife. Welcome to Tolkien Gateway. This site is helpful. If my internet works. My internet is probably struggling because Photoshop is still open even though I tried to close it. Close. Please close the window. I beg of you. Oh, Angrist is the one that was held by Baron. I knew it was Curfin's, but I didn't remember it was Baron's. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Oh man, there's so much good stuff. So much good stuff. So, very excited about the Two Trees sword. Oh my god. Other things that have me excited. I'm curious who this is with the long hair that might be a satchel. And the size difference with these huge ass berries. I hope that's a dwarf wife. That would be super cool. Female dwarf for the win. Love this picture. I love the skin tones that we see in all these different pictures. Like, they really range, and I'm liking that. I'm like, give some color to the Numenoreans. Hell yes. But this is probably Nimloth. Reference to Nimloth, the white tree of Numenor. And I just think the scale breastplate here is just gorgeous. This looks like it would be the girl who was teased, the original character that's Isildur's sister. I don't know, style-wise, that's just what it's yelling at me. I could be absolutely wrong. Hobbits, if they have their own original language, heck yes. I would love to see a pictographic written language for them. This really screams Anarion to me. I'm all for that. I want to see who this is so badly. I want to see who this is. You know, could it be a corrupted you know, one of the Nazgul once they've fallen, absolutely. It could be the Witch King. It could be any of the Nazgul. It could be Sauron. It could be... it could be so many. But if that's gold hair back there, like, and if that's gold hair and this ends up being Sauron, I'm gonna lose my lunch. It's gonna be so cool. Several characters, I don't know who they are. I would just have to wait and see. I do not know. Hoping that we have Elrond and Elros? I think it would be cool if this was Elros. And if Elrond was the one with the scroll down here. Yup, 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 yup. All the way down. All the way down here. We did double check the little bits and pieces of Elvish and Dwarvish that we saw in there. Unfortunately, we're looking at all transliterations. They are transliterated. They do not have translations on them. For this one, the Elvish that's right here on the lower part of the scroll, if you flip it 180 degrees there, it ends up being at least what we're thinking it is King's Scroll, View from South. View from South. So there is a picture. It's obviously a drawing of some sort. So View from South. We don't know south view of what, but there is architecture and bridge. There's a bridge here. So I don't know. I don't know what it is. But then in this corner here, very, very faintly, you can see the word Eregion. So what part of Eregion, I'm not sure. Eregion is a big place. It's a big area. But it looks like we have Eregion in this corner, and it's written phonemically, which means that it's supposed to mimic the sounds rather than going character by character. Same thing with the Dwarvish, with the Kirth. So in this case, we used... It's kind of a combination. It's kind of a combination of like Moda Beleriand and like Second Age Quenya. But because it's transliteration, we use the characters differently than we would for either of those ciphers. So it's interesting. I'm a geek, but it says King Squow, Skwoe, Squow, Squow, V long I E U, view, har har, view, from south, S-A-U-T-H, south. So obviously done phonemically and not orthographically. Orthographic being letter by letter from one written form to another. And then, going a little further down to the first picture that was posted, the Dwarvish on this axe here says, Awake Sleeping Stone. Awake Sleeping Stone. A-W-A-C/K-E-S-L-E-E, or a long E. P-I. The X here is N-G. Again, another S. T-O-N. And this one is cut off, but it looks like an E. So, Awake Sleeping Stone. I don't know what sleeping stone they're talking about. Who knows? I don't know. I don't pretend to know, but it's still really cool, okay? People are like, it's Turin. I would not be surprised if it's Turin. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that. Turin would especially have rings, whereas I think Narvi would be less likely to have rings, because Narvi would be working with his hands. Which, who knows, maybe this is Narvi. We don't know. That's the thing. That's the fun part, is we don't really know. A long-awaited Stephen Colbert cameo? That would be so fun. That'd be so fun. Oh man, take me with you. But yeah, seeing the Feanorian stars here, this might be Gil-galad or it might be Celebrimbor. Either way, I'm excited about that. But I will honestly get more excited for the elves than anything else, but that's just because it's my area of expertise. This is what I do. I translate things into Elvish for people. I'm working on a freaking bridal party, for goodness sake. I'm getting paid. It's so much fun. Oh man, and this image that Dawn got to tease. How much fun. How fun is this? Oh man. If that's Gorthang, that would be a really interesting tie-in from the first stage. I would love to see what they do with that, if that ends up being the plot point that they're using. We can have hope. There is always hope. Say hope in Elvish is Estel, which is also Aragorn's nickname. Estel. Also, random, this is just a fan fiction thing in my head. My partner and I particularly enjoyed taking characters that were in Middle-earth and put them in Valinor after everything is said and done. So after all the elves have presumably sailed west, what would happen, you know? The elves that died and eventually were supposed to be reborn, what happens with them? So you end up in Valinor with all of these characters from different time periods of Middle-earth, and seeing how they interact was always a fascinating question for us. So that's what we would play around with a lot. And whenever we would have Sauron and Melkor come back, because of course they would, eventually, that we like playing bad guys, okay? But when we would have Sauron and Melkor come back, we always made them very redeemable characters, which is just personal choice. We don't like the whole narrative of evil for evil's sake, so we gave them a lot of deeper motivations for why they did what they did and why they were locked into their role in the original song and theme. And once they're in Valinor on their own and they don't have those pressures, they get to be however they want to be, which ends up being slightly different. But Melkor starts his own realm again, and we named it Austin Estel, the city of hope, dwelling of hope, because it was hope for a new future, a hope for something better than what they were allotted the last time, which was to be the big baddies. So yeah, we gave them a new realm, and we had Sauron name it Austin Estel, which is a play off of Austin Edil, which is in Eregion, and that's the realm that he helped build with Celebrimbor. So yeah, we did that. So it's not official, it's not canon, but that's what we did, because we tended to do that. Yeah, it shouldn't be a plural article. You're absolutely right. You're totally right there. I think we just added the N because it just flowed better, and Elvish is totally about flow. You like Morgoth being evil for evil's sake. I mean, my fan theory, and this is totally just me. Let me switch over to a just chatting. Hold up. Okay, so my feels on Morgoth is that Morgoth sang Discord. We know this from the Ainul and Dale. Melkor sang Discord, and Iluvatar was like, I think that was literally his reaction. Like, oh, you thought you did something original there, huh? To which he responded, well, check out this new theme where I incorporate all of your Discord into making something even better. Take that. Melkor didn't like that very much. Melkor wanted to be able to have enough free will to create things. He wanted the flame imperishable so he could create something of his own making, not just directly from the will of Iluvatar. And I mean, that's sort of the parallel with the Morning Star, right? in Christian-esque mythos. Okay, so Melkor, once this great theme was unfolded, God was Eru was just very much like, this is the world, this is the story, this is everything that you all have sung, smooshed into a little bite-sized package, and this is going to be what happens. The only things you can't see that you won't understand are the things that I myself put in there, which is elves and men, the children of Iluvatar. So everything else was sung. All the basic themes, everyone already knew what was going to happen. The basics. And certainly the person who retained all of this knowledge was Namo, the doomsman of the Valar. Because he was put in charge of, the concepts. His whole thing was the concept of death and rebirth and time, the flow of time. So that was Namo's domain. So the one who really, if anybody had gone bad, because this is one of those theoretical things that my partner and I love to do, if Melkor had not been the one to go bad, and someone had to in order to make the story play out the way that it was supposed to play out, who would have gone bad? Which of the Valar do you think would have gone bad? Because I'd put my money on Namo. Because Namo was given the knowledge of everything as it was planned. And if Namo had gone bad, that whole thing would be in the frickin' toilet. Because he himself inserting into that narrative would change the fate of everything. And that would be super disastrous. If Namo went dark, end of world. If Namo went dark, that would have been so much worse. Now, Aule being dark, also bad situation. Manwë, also bad situation. But given the certain similarities between the characters of Namo and Melkor, and the canonical facts that the only person who ever visited Melkor in the Void was Namo. Our fan theory. Yeah, Arda Apocalypse AU, absolutely. It would be fascinating to play that out. It would be a great sort of D&D-like campaign if Melkor hadn't been the one to go bad, if it had been Namo instead. Or any of the other Valar. You could do a whole line of different Dark Varda. Oh man. Plunge the world into frickin' darkness. Or too much light, for goodness sake. So you just blind everybody. Just be done. Burn it all down. Make the world burn. Sorry, that got really dark. But if Namo had been the one to go bad, things would have been really, really a lot worse. And as far as friendships between the various Valar go, yeah, Namo unsings your song. That's basically it. But as far as friendships between the various Valar go, we do have the close kinship of certain Valar that are then sort of spoused? ? Are they actually husband and wife? Some of them it's debatable. Did Namo actually marry Vaere, or did they just work in such close concert with each other that it made sense that they be, together? How much of a relationship was it? Was it even a physical relationship? As an asexual person, these are the questions I ask. So I think that Namo's relationship with Vaere is a non-sexual thing. It's a non-physical thing. That the two are very close and the two understand each other, but not necessarily the typical husband and wife setup that we see very much between Manwë and Varda. Or even better, Yavanna and Aule. So Yavanna is she's Kementari, so she's like the goddess of all green things. She is goddess of growing stuff. And Aule, her husband, is god of invention and forge and earth stuff. So he's all about the mountains, she's all about growing things, and they butt heads so much. Like, they argue, they bicker. Aule makes the dwarves, and Yavanna's like, what the fuck, bro? Like, you broke the rules. We weren't supposed to make our own creatures. You totally broke the rules. Like, not sentient creatures. She's like, I've made flora and fauna, but, like, I didn't break the rules and you know, make something without permission. And so she goes to, oh, hello. Hi, Alana. Hi, Kittenbit. So Yavanna goes to Edoru and is like, what gives? Because when he finds out about the dwarves, he confronts Aule, and Aule gets all tearful, like, I couldn't help myself, and I'm just a poor white guy who just wanted to make the nice things. I wanted to be able to teach something. Me, mine, now. But when he sees that he's displeased Edoru, he gets all contrite. And he, you know, with tears in his eyes, is about to strike down his own creations. And the dwarves cower for fear. And Edoru's like, I changed my mind, you can keep them. They just can't, they have to go to sleep for now, and they can't wake up until at least the firstborn have awoken. Otherwise, they wouldn't be the firstborn. You don't get to contradict me there. So he puts the dwarves to sleep, and they show up later. But he gets away with it. He gets slap on the wrist. And so Yavanna goes, and she's like, what the fuck? Like, he broke the rules, and you let him. You let him without any real consequences. And she's like, I demand to have my own creatures. And he says, okay, basically. Tries to be fair. And she gets to make the Ents. Which is all well and good, and she's just like, you know, your dwarves better frickin' beware, because these trees are gonna, like, kick their butts. To which Aule is like, yeah, well, the dwarves are gonna be forging masters, and they're gonna need wood for their forges, so... And that's, like, the end of that chapter in the Silmarillion. Well, they're gonna need wood, so... oh well. And, like, that's the end of the conversation between this married couple. Like, you broke the rules, bro. Like, what the hell? Yeah, well, God said it's okay, so... Yeah, well, God gave me permission to make something that's gonna be like... You know, I'm gonna make a being, and those beings are gonna hate your beings. Take that. And he's like, well, they're gonna need wood for their fire, so... They do kind of have, like, a brother and sister mentality. But they're spouses. They're just bickering... Yeah, they should have just been brother and sister instead of, like, the dynamic is very sibling-esque, for sure. Old married couple that hate being around each other, but they still love each other. Yeah, that's basically the vibe. They would have very rough make-up sex. I feel like that. And yes, I just went there. I think that it's, you know... They only break up so they can make up. I think that's totally the vibe we get with Yavanna and Aule. But yes, so as I was talking about with Namo, so if Namo had gone dark, this would have been a bad thing. Melkor being close to Namo, because Namo's the only one who visits him when he's in the void. Namo kind of stays distant to all of the Valar. He's not really close with any of them. Even you look at him with the other Fae and Turi, you look at him with his brother and sister, which is Irmo, god of dreams and visions, and Nienna, goddess of grief. So you look at these other beings, and they don't even interact with Namo much. Namo's very much on his own, and he just sort of shares his space with Vaire. She's the Weaver. Her name actually means Weaver. Very original. Her name means Weaver, and she weaves tapestries that tell the history of the fate of Middle-earth. Which is kind of cool. Yes, Nienna is one of the 3 Feanturi. Yes. She is a Feantur. They are the 3 Valar that can see into the spirits of people. With Nienna, it's with a mind of grief and catharsis. With Ermo, it's all about vision and desire and dreams, and Namo, it's about doom. Doom, often gloom. And the concept of life, death, and rebirth. And time. The flow of time is something that I think Namo understands better than any of the other Valar. But these are like the deeper themes. Grief and letting go, you have life, death, and rebirth, and you have the, why are they not Feantur? I can't answer that. Because they're 3. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Yeah, there are 3 of them. Yeah, it wouldn't be Turu because it's not dual, it's triple. Yay! Quenya's not my forte. I do much better with Syndra than I do with Quenya, but I love that you have so much knowledge of Elvish. That makes me really happy. I'm like, we can be friends. Been so long since you've read the Silmarillion. Yeah, it's not an easy read. I do need to get back into doing my weekly live streams where I actually go into that with y'all. I'm actually gonna need to pause this stream because number 1, I haven't eaten yet. It's like 1:30 already. I haven't eaten. Don's gonna start his stream in another hour and a half. I need to eat and do my errands and do like chores around the house before that, so I don't have too much time. Contemplating the Feanturi all going dark and imagining what that would mean for Loren and the other Istari. Yes! I love hypotheticals with like different characters going dark. But yeah, so in my head, I feel like Melkor and Namo would actually understand each other in some ways. The desire to want to change things that cannot be changed. I feel like both of them would deeply understand that. But whereas Melkor rebels and says, well, I'm gonna change it, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna, like, destroy myself trying. Whereas Namo is just like, I'm not gonna change anything. Like, I will destroy myself in an attempt to not influence the timeline. But if their positions had been swapped, I think Melkor was also thinking in the back of his mind, if I don't do this thing, if I don't become the bad guy that, Eru just sort of made me become. He took my discord and made me the bad guy. Instead of, fleshing it out more. But he's like, if someone has to fulfill this role and it's not me, then it's probably going to be Namo, and I don't want that to happen to him. Knowing and loving Namo as this brother-like character. Oh, hi again, kitten. Hi, kitty butt. What are you doing? Yeah. But I feel like he would have absolutely signed on to be the bad guy if it meant protecting Namo from being the bad guy. And that's just personal headcanon. Hi, kitten bit. What are you doing? Come here. Come here. Yeah, hi. Hi. It's my kitty. Everyone meet Alana. She's my noisy kitten bit. At this point, definitely crafting a theory crafting an Arda Apocalypse D&D campaign. Absolutely. Do it. I don't have the energy for that, and I've honestly never played D&D. So even if I would love to make that plot, I would not know what I'm doing because I've never played the tabletops. God would be insane. Melkor and Sauron being allies against the threat of Namo. Exactly. It'd be an interesting switch, wouldn't it? Oh, thank you so much, Elbereth. I appreciate that. So this is my dilute torty, Alana. I see that paw underneath. I see it. Everyone on TikTok can see it. She just wants my attention because I've been on the computer talking at no one for hours now. Because it has been a 3-hour live stream. Holy hell. I really do need to go. I need to go and get some stuff done before I jump into live streams with Dawn now. Go on, kitten. Thank you. So, what a treat. What a treat to wake up to. I am gonna sleep so well tonight because I slept like utter crap. Too many nightmares. I don't usually have nightmares that are that vivid, but I totally did last night. So, I was super tired today. I will sleep so well, but I am so excited. I'm so excited. I still cannot get over that Two Trees of Valinor sword. Pour some sugar on me in the name of love. Oh my god. Give it to me, baby. Don will probably go live on Twitch. Twitch tends to be his thing. He might switch it up sometimes and do YouTube. I know he posts all of the permanent, like, restream. He puts his green streams, up onto YouTube. So you can, like, listen to him reading the Silmarillion and stuff. I need to do that too. I need to post those up. But yeah, Don will probably be on Twitch because he's part of the affiliate program. I am not. So if you'd like to support me, you can't buy a membership over on Twitch. You can buy a membership on YouTube. But I think I'm actually about to be kicked off of the AdSense program on YouTube because I just don't have the views anymore. So if anyone wants to support me, please watch my live streams on YouTube. That would be super helpful. Watch them on YouTube, because I need to get my numbers back up so I can do AdSense again. I neglected my YouTube for a year while I concentrated on TikTok, and that was a mistake. Will the stream be available later on Twitch? You missed the first couple images. It will be available on YouTube. It will automatically post itself on YouTube. I'll have to, I'll have to change the title of it because I forgot to change the meta stuff before I just went live. It will say Elvish calligraphy and ASMR, but it's this stream. But that'll be posted automatically once I stop. It'll take a couple minutes, but it'll be up. Yeah, please feel free to subscribe over on YouTube. You'll get notified that way if I go live. Just turn the bell on, YouTube words, yada yada. Subscribe, ring the bell, YouTube words. But I'm gonna call it quits. Oh man, there's so much good stuff though. Like, I know we're still several months away, but if they keep ramping up and giving us some really good hints, it's gonna be so tasty. This series is hopefully gonna be amazing. At the very least, they have done great with design work. I am really hoping that, we see something that's actually translated into the languages, not just transliterated onto stuff. So what things like this tell me? When they put out teaser material, when they put out posters that have Elvish or Dwarvish on them, but they are transliterated, that's just an Easter egg. They just want people to figure it out. Whereas it would be far more difficult, especially if it were Dwarvish, if it were Neo-Khuzdul that they had written on that axe. So few people know enough of it to translate it that it's not a proper Easter egg at that point. What they want to do is put just enough so that we can translate things, or, transliterate it back into English and get hyped. That's the point of these. So, this scroll, are we actually going to see it? Maybe, maybe not. But the whole point is putting it there so that we can see it in the teaser and speculate. It's all about hyping things up. Whether or not we actually see this in the series is completely irrelevant. It's all about the hype. Yes, with transliteration, they tend to be less wrong. AKA, there's wiggle room with transliteration because there are several different ways to transliterate, so it's a lot safer. But it's also something that more people could do. If you have a copy of Lord of the Rings and you flip to, the alphabet sections, which I believe are Appendix D or E? Appendix E? I think it's E. Appendix E has all of the, it tells you what all the characters are and what they mean. So, or you could just look it up, but I believe it's Appendix E. And if you have a copy of Lord of the Rings, anyone who has this stuff could read that section and try and parse out what it says. So I think they're trying to appeal to a much wider audience. It would be a far smaller, more geeky audience of us trying to actually, do the translated Elvish. Translated Elvish is far more difficult for people to enjoy as an Easter egg on a promotional material thing. We didn't get teaser, at least to my knowledge, we didn't get teasers of, the weaponry and stuff in the Lord of the Rings stuff. Because if you look at the designs, all of them are translated. 99% of them are translated into different forms of Elvish. I think one of them is in Quenya, and several of them are in Neo-Sindarin. So, because of that, if you put it on an image, it would be far more difficult for people to figure out. Especially back then, because we didn't have so many resources on Elvish like we do now. Better for your blood pressure. Absolutely. I would be freaking out if I had to try and backwards manufacture an English translation from Elvish. Some stuff I remember easily and other stuff I do not. So it's a process. But yes, so I'm hyped. I hope you're hyped. This has been really fun. Oh, no problem. To anybody who is up on my TikTok right now, if you want to see the restream, just head over to my YouTube channel. As soon as I stop streaming, it will record and post the entire stream. So you'll be able to see the beginning of it if you want to. It's a long stream. But you can always fast forward. I start with the first post that they made on Twitter, and I work my way up to the more recent ones. So, yeah, if you want to see that stuff, you can start the stream over again if you want to. And it will be, at least temporarily, for the next 14 days. It'll be available on my Twitch as well. Yay! I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this stuff. There's so many good things. So many good things. So everybody, please take care. I will probably be live. Well, I will be live for Don's stream. I'm definitely going to chime in on his. Because the funnest part is doing this with other fans, because my knowledge is very specific to the elves and the Ainur, but other fans know a heck of a lot more about the dwarves, the Numenoreans, and so when you get all of us in the same room, it's really exciting, because we tend to fill in each other's blank spots. Oh, no problem. Yeah, Europe gets the raw end of the deal an awful lot. So, glad you could tune in. If you're still going to be awake in another hour and 15 minutes, Don Marshall 72 will have his stream up, and I'll probably be a part of that as well. But we'll talk geeky to you. Oh yeah, the best part is just being hugely geeky with other geeks. That's the best part. So we will do more of that. Now that I have my basic streaming setup done in my new place, I will be also just streaming more in general. So hopefully getting some ASMR stuff set up as well. Maybe doing some music, maybe doing more calligraphy. I really need to do more calligraphy streams. I need to get back into practicing. I fell off the bus. I fell off the bus of practicing. The bandwagon of practicing when I moved. So I need to get back into that, and we will resume Silmarillion Saturdays. It's a goal. It is a big goal. So we'll probably do like one review stream where we review what happened in the previous ones, and then maybe only hit one small chapter. But yeah, we'll do that. And I do like to dissect all of the Elvish as I go along in Silmarillion, so it gives you a little bit of background into the language and how Tolkien uses the language in order to further the narrative and add depth. Pardon me. I need food. I'm gonna go. Everybody please take care. I'm so happy you guys had some fun with me. Yes, Dawn's Power Hour. We're going to be simul-streaming that. So Dawn is going to stream it on his Twitch channel. I'm going to stream it on my YouTube channel. So I will be involved in, to my knowledge, every hour, every Power Hour that we do, where we dissect all of the crazy things that we see within every episode of The Rings of Power. Oh yeah, we're going to have fun with that. So yes, I will be involved in every episode of the Power Hour. Don is doing the majority of the work. I have told him if he needs to, delegate, that's what I'm here for. I don't currently have a day job, so I have more time to help him out, and hopefully I'll get the chance to help him out. I don't want him to have to do all the work by himself. That's not fair. So we are definitely going to do the Power Hour, and I'm so excited about that. I need to make TikTok videos. I've been completely out of it since my move. So we'll get back into the swing of things. It'll be fun. I need to go get some food and do a couple errands, and I will see you guys live on Dawn's channel in another hour and 15 minutes or so. Everybody please take care. I will see you guys next time. Bye guys!